All right, so as we're beginning, I'm wondering, did y'all know that we stream a lot of our classes and our meetings in this room? And if you go to YouTube, where I'm at now, if you go to YouTube and do a search for KW Perimeter, this is the channel right here with this logo. We're number one, KW Perimeter. And and there we are live right now in the room. If you click on the channel, it'll bring you in here and it'll show you our video library, including whatever's going live will just come up right there where you can actually see yourself. It's got a little bit of a delay on it. I'm logged into our YouTube channel, so I don't have this button right now, but if you were to visit the same page, just like I did, you would also, in this region, you would have a subscribe button, and if you hit subscribe, it notifies you whenever the cameras are rolling. So sometimes I'm driving down the road and I get a ding on my phone. It says KW Perimeter is now live. Do you want to listen, or something like that? So sometimes I'm driving in traffic, listening to your team meeting or watching an event in the room. So it's really handy to be able to go to YouTube. Of course, today's class we'll be rolling the camera on this, and so today's class will be here on the YouTube channel. So if you want to get a refresher on what we talk about today, it's live and recorded. As soon as we get finished, it'll be available online. You can go to YouTube and you can re-watch whatever we talk about today, which is really handy. It's nice to be able to have that as a resource. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Scott Hardy, and I didn't catch your name.
My name is Dolores Voorhees.
Dolores, okay,
Yes.
I know Nancy. Ms. Al?
Miss Al Portillo.
We have talked before.
Yes, we have.
First time to meet. A lot of times I meet people for the first time over the phone. And it's kind of an interesting experience because I'll walk down the hall and they'll recognize me and they'll come start talking to me. And I don't know their face until I hear their voice. It's really a strange thing. And I'm like, oh, we've talked on the phone. Now I know who you are, So. But I'm the Director of Technology for the Rawls Group, and the way I fit in on a daily basis is my primary responsibility is for our infrastructure to keep our computers and network and servers and internet and security running and things like that. And I do that for 6 locations all across the top north metro area for Buckhead and here at Perimeter and Sandy Springs and Cityside and Brookhaven, all these places, East Cobb. Hey, come on in. And so I spend a large portion of my time just doing the laundry list of technology and IT needs, but I also spend a portion of my time in a consulting role where I talk about and assist with different KW technologies, the marketing products, the KW websites. And I do that in a variety of ways. Sometimes I do that on a one-on-one appointment over the phone. Sometimes I do that through help desk tickets. And other times I do it like I'm doing today, which is I come in and actually teach a class so you can have a live interaction with me. And then also, of course, we stream it to YouTube. And what's brought me here today, of course, is to talk about our Placester website systems. How many people here already have a Placester website set up?
I believe I do.
Launched, maybe even. How many people here are here to find out what a Placester website is? Okay, very good. You're all in the right place. I'm in the right place too. Today's class is about getting the Placester websites launched. What KW does is for associates is they provide a very simple interface, a very simple website system allow you to quickly launch your web presence so you have a worthwhile and professional appearance online. It's a basic system. It's not a world-class, end-all, be-all website with high customizations. That's not what this is. This is really more of a launch to kind of get your web presence running, and a lot of agents can use this website for years. Sometimes agents feel like they use it for a year, maybe or two, and then they outgrow it and they move on to something else, and that's fine too. KW gives you the freedom to use whatever you want, whether it's something custom or something that they provide. KW does provide 3 website systems today. And they're all in different ages. So we have one called E-Agency, which most people by the time you get to this class probably don't come across E-Agency as a product very often. Every once in a while somebody will come into class and talk about it. That's our old legacy system, but it's still live. And then we have our E-Edge system, which most people in the room have heard of E-Edge, which is your current marketing and database. That actually has its own website for agents. But to be clear, we're working with a completely separate product called Placester, which is just a partnership that KW has with another website company who said, hey, we can build websites, and KW said, we like what you do. We want to build a deal and arrange a deal with y'all so we can provide, slick looking, nice professional websites to our agents. So the choice is yours, which system you use. But today we're going to be talking about Placester. And what I'm going to do is show you how to get access to your Placester website. And the idea is that you can follow along with me as we work on this site. And I'm hoping that as we go through all the material that your website will evolve as we go through the class and you'll make progress on it. It takes me usually about 3 hours to get through all the material. And then at that point, it'd be about 4 o'clock. I usually stop at that point, and we'll switch and go into like a workshop mode. So if you're working on stuff that we've talked about, even if there's something we haven't talked about, if you're working on stuff, I make myself available and go around desk side, and it just kind of turns into more of an open forum kind of workshop time. And so the idea is I hope you leave here with a feeling of being productive and have something to show for our time today online. Before we get into Placester websites, so I want you to see this website here. This is my department website. Its web address is www.rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. Let's see. How's that? Is that good?
Yep.
And the reason I like to show this is because this is a great way to get my attention and to get the attention of my team. A lot of times people ask me, hey, how do you get to Rawls Group Help Desk? I'm looking all over KW for it, but you can't find it in KW. It's a standalone website. It is our department website. And a couple things that I'll show you that I think are interesting and worthwhile about this site is right when you land on the page, the most frequent button we get right here or down here, this is what everybody's usually asking me about, is how do I create a help desk ticket? How do I get on time with Scott for a tech session? And these are the ways you can get into it. Creating a help desk ticket is a real straightforward, simple process. You've probably created a help desk ticket at some point in your life. It's just a basic form to fill out. Hey, come on in. Asking your contact information, which market center are you with, how to get a hold of you, and then some questions about what kind of problem it is you got to solve. Do your best to just answer these questions. If you don't have it quite right, we might adjust it. We adjust these all the time. It's no big deal. Do your best to answer the questions and give us a description of what kind of help you need. And when you submit this ticket, what happens is it goes into a help desk queue, and we answer tickets not in the order we receive them, but we rank every ticket and we answer in terms of severity. So if you open up a ticket saying you can't print to your favorite printer down the hallway, we'll take that as a ticket. Nancy, if you open a ticket saying, hey, nobody can print to anywhere on the whole floor, obviously I'm going to have to deal with the bigger problem first, and most people get that. Right? It's basic help desk logic. But the question still remains, when am I going to turn around and get that one single ticket for that one individual with an individual problem? And that got us thinking about things. And we said, you know what if we offered this direct access to my schedule? That's what this does. If you book a remote tech session, you come in here, you can see a button that says book Tyler or book Scott Hardy. If you click on these buttons, it'll take you to these people's my calendar and Tyler. Tyler's one of my contract techs. He works on my team. I've got him hidden in a cloud, chained to a desk, and all he does is watch the help desk for me all day long, answers tickets, answers the phone, whatever the case is. He's a great guy. He focuses a lot on infrastructure, meaning if you have trouble getting connected to the Wi-Fi, getting connected to the printers, can't get logged into the workroom, something like that, or the internet's not working in the office, he's a great person to start talking to. That's where he focuses. And then for me, I do that, but also do the KW products, consultations like the website, things. Yes?
I hate to stop you. I cannot see your web address, so how would I get to your
You can type in www.rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, and I'll play optometrist here. Is that better? Or is that better? Hey, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it. That's a little bit better.
Somebody who's been to an optometrist
Right? And you can see here's my calendar. Now I'm just coming out of vacation and coming out of a disaster recovery scenario, and I had to just block all my calendar appointments, so everybody started booking and filled my calendar up for this week. If I go out, I bet you'll start seeing some green slots, and this will get more normal as we're getting up into time here. But these green squares are what I have available. So for example, if you clicked on this one here, Monday, at 1 p.m. Another form to fill out, simple form. Who are you? What's your name? What's your number? Market center. You can do a 30-minute or a 1-hour session. Give me a description of what you need. You can type in, I need help with my website, for example. When you confirm this booking down here at the bottom, you now know exactly when, what date, what time I'm going to call you. People said, hey, I love that. I'm no longer waiting for some call. I know when the tech or when I know when Scott's going to give me a call because we now have an appointment. And we've gotten some pretty good responses from people. There's no cost to these appointments. There's no limit to the number of appointments you can get. Now, if you fill my calendar up, I'm going to call you and say, hey, let's spread this out and make it fair for everybody. But I love that fact that they're just available to you if you need them. And there's really two reasons why I like to share this. One, I just think it's a valuable service. But two, as we start talking about your Placester site today and get into some details, because of time limits, I may stop and say, hey, that's as far as we're going to go on this topic. Or maybe you ask a question that's a little off-center, and I may say, if you want to go deeper on that topic, or if I need to talk to you about that question, book a tech session with me and let's tackle that together. And this is what I'm talking about. So now you know, you understand. If I say, hey, that would be an example of booking an appointment with me, you know how to do it. You just go to Rawls Group, helpdesk.com. You can come over here at the bottom there and hit that button, remote tech session, hit my name, and go find yourself a time that works for you. All right? Pretty cool, huh?
Yes.
You don't have to be at the office, by the way, for these tech sessions. As long as you have internet, then we're good, right? So you can be at home, you can be at Starbucks, you could be here at the office. A lot of times I'm in my truck on a hotspot doing the call from my end. You know, you can be on the hotspot and do the call. And we can solve most things remotely. So give it a try. Also, I've got my training calendar, which it's up to date. I usually keep this up to date in terms of what's happening. But I don't have full descriptions in there right now. I fell a little bit behind on giving my descriptions. And I'll let you see what it looks like in the past. Let's see. Normally it looks more like this. I'll go in and I'll spruce it up with better titles and give images for what topic is being taught. But these are pretty much at different market centers, including this location. And I teach this class quite a bit. Area right there, workshop, Placester website set up in Douglasville, things like that. If we go to today's class, let's see, go forward. You can see, let's see, where are we today? October, wow, she did one in October. It's got to be one for today. There we are, July 8th. Here we are at Atlanta Perimeter doing this class today. And it does go from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Sometimes people say, wow, I had no idea this was going to go that long today. I can't stay the whole time. You know, you've got options. If you can't stay, that's totally fine. One thing you can do is you can track me down at another location. If you left here at 2 o'clock today and started catching up to me at another location at 2 o'clock on another day, you're pretty much going to pick up right where I left off. I try to stay on script the whole day. So you also have the option, like I showed you, of going to YouTube today. So if you had to bail out, a customer calls you or something, you know, go make your phone call and then come back in. If you missed 15, 20 minutes part of it, you can easily go back to YouTube and watch today's session. You could also come down here on my main page and look right here. I've got a Placester website setup training video. Now the difference between this video and going back and watching today's YouTube is this one has been edited for time. I actually cover everything in this video. I cover everything we're going to do today and even a little bit more. It is right at 3 hours. But one of the things I love about it is this table of content. Some people tell me, you know what, I've started at introduction, watched this whole thing, and got my website built, never had to get help. That to me is great. I love hearing that. Other people have said that they like this table of contents because maybe you need some reinforcement on something, or maybe you missed something. Like, for example, talking about how to build the menu in the website. Well, if you click on the menu item there, it's going to cue the video exactly at that point in the video where I talk about that topic, and you can pick up that information.
Scott, what website do I go to find that? Where link are you
www.rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com is the address. You can Google Rawls Group Help Desk, or you can put it directly in rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. So those are some resources I just wanted to show you, make you aware of my page for a little bit. We'll go back to this website today as we pull different resources and working on building your site. But just to get you an introduction to Rawls Group Help Desk, that's our webpage. let's switch gears and talk about Placester sites for a minute. I want to show you a site here called affordablegeorgiacabins.com. This is a Placester website. This is my Placester website. It's a demo site. Just for information, I'm not in sales and never have been in sales. I'm 100% technical. So when they said, will you teach this class? I thought about setting up the web page. I said, well, I kind of need a niche. And in this case, I thought, you know what, I'm going to pretend like I sell cabins as my niche. And so I came up with affordablegeorgiacabins.com, and I mocked up the page as if I'm a cabin salesperson. It used to be I did tree houses. Back when we taught e-agency, back in the day when that was the original website system, that old system, I had treehousefinder.com was my web address, and I mocked it up like I was selling tree houses, and people would call me thinking I was selling or renting tree houses or leasing tree houses. I couldn't believe it. But I did that for several years, and then but that website got deleted, and I'll explain why I deleted it later. It's just a good story I'll share with y'all. And when I rebuilt my web presence, I said, let me think of another niche. I said, let me do cabins. So here we are, affordablegeorgiacabins.com. And what I want to do is I just want to kind of go over some things, just do a high-level pass on this website to show you a frame of reference of things that we're going to be working on your page today. So the first thing I would point out is the web address here is affordablegeorgiacabins.com. Do you think Keller Williams gave me that address? www.affordablegeorgiacabins.com? No way, right? That's the first thing I'll point out about these pages. They're template pages, and the web address that you get at first is pretty raw. It'll be something like www. And then for me, it was my first initial last name, so shardy.kw.com. It's really rough, really long. You wouldn't want to market, or brand that address because it's just too raw and it doesn't really enforce your brand identity. So one of the things that I would tell people to do is plan on buying a domain through GoDaddy or somebody like GoDaddy. That is a separate class that we actually go through and walk through the whole process of figuring out good, strong, competitive domain names, how to buy them, how to configure them. I've tried doing some of that configuration in this class before, and it's usually a train wreck. Trying to get everybody into GoDaddy and updating all the different stuff you have to do. It's kind of delicate work. It's not hard, but if you're not familiar with it, you can render your website completely dysfunctional. And that was happening in class. So I realized, let me separate all that and say, just to say as much as plan on getting a domain name. If you already have a domain name and you want to get it tied into your website, it can be done. It can be done today if you already have a domain name. If you don't have a domain name, watch for my domain class that's out, or book time with me on my, here we go. Get some time with me one-on-one on my remote appointment and say, hey, help me figure out a domain name, and I'll be happy to do that. So flexible domain names, you can bring your own domain name to the table here and enforce your brand, which is what I've done there. This particular layout that you're seeing is one of 8 or 9 templates that are available to you. This is called the Madison Template. We'll learn today how to flip through the different templates and how to get control of them. This particular template features social media badging at the very top up here, which we'll work with. We'll learn today how to turn these things on and configure them so that they show your social media profiles. Now right now I've got mine showing Keller Williams profile, and I'll explain that when we get to that topic, why I'm choosing to show Keller Williams instead of my own. But just know that you can send any or configure any profile with these social medias, and we'll learn how to do that today. This whole area up here in this gray bar is your brand recognition and identity. We'll work on this today. We'll make sure that we have your right affiliation, obviously not city side, you'll do Atlanta perimeter. I'll show you where to get this logo, and we'll work on what to put in here and how it works. If you brought your photo today, you'll get a chance to get your photo in, along with your contact information like I've got here. And we'll do this in such a way that it's compliant against GREC and Rawls Group standards. And we'll talk a little bit about some of those things as we're building our header at the top. I've also got menu items down here. And your system will start out with menu buttons. They may look completely different than what I've got here. You can just use what they give you, or you can rename some of the buttons that they give you. We'll learn how to do that. You can delete buttons that they give you. Maybe they got something you don't necessarily want to include on your menu. Take them out, and you can add stuff. In fact, we'll spend time reorganizing our menu and relabeling things, but we'll also add some content. One of the things that we'll add together today is this free mobile download link, which is a link to downloading your Keller Williams mobile search app. Anybody got that on your phone already, the mobile search app?
Yes.
It's a wonderful tool. If you don't have it, you'll learn today how to get it on your phone, and we'll create a button on your website so it actually helps your marketing to when you want to share that link. That's the most common question I get. People say, I've got the app now. How do I share it with somebody? And there's a sharing tool inside the app. But in my mind, I'm thinking, how cool is it if you want my app and I say, you know what, go to www.affordablegeorgiacabins.com and click on the button that says free mobile download. But if they do that and they download the app, that's great, but then they're also on my website, and hopefully I have additional engaging content that sort of captures them and brings their interest into the web page. So I think adding the button is very valuable, and we'll learn how to do that today. And we'll also learn how to add this video update. I was looking at sound a minute ago. It seems like there's no sound today. Let me see. Oh, it's muted. There we go. So you'll learn today how to get this.
Here are just a few of the national real estate numbers we're tracking for you right now.
I'm trying to stop it down.
According to the National Associate.
There it goes. So this video is the This Month in Real Estate video, and we're going to be giving you a special link that updates each month automatically. There's 2 links for this product here. You can do the manual update, which means you got to go up there and update it every time manually, or if you use the link I shared today, it'll update automatically for you each month. So that's kind of neat. It's going to give you experience of adding content to your menu. Yes,
The
Nancy?
homes for sale, is that across the United States or is that just Atlanta?
It is a nationwide analysis. So I wish they would make more local reports.
Micro, macro, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if you were to call up Keller Williams and say, I'd really like to see some sales data and analysis for my area, they're going to push you straight to the new products with Command and Market Snapshot and Kelly. I mean, that's all coming out and becoming the backbone of their new marketing pieces. So you probably never see that video get rebuilt because of what KW is doing in other areas with their new products. So, but it's still a valuable video, and it's a valuable experience of learning how to add a video to your website, and we'll go through that today. Right here in the middle is a property search, which I'm sure you probably can figure out how that works, right? You put in a criteria like a city or a neighborhood, and you hit search, and what's going to happen? You're going to see properties, right? They're going to come up.
Are you on KW Connect now?
I'm not. I'm at affordablegeorgiacabins.com.
Oh, you want your website?
Yeah, which is my website.
All right.
But this is a special kind of property search, and I want you to understand it's an IDX property search. If you're not familiar with IDX, it's an acronym. It stands for Internet Data Exchange, fancy name. But its purpose is, IDX is very important for your websites and web tools. Its purpose is to allow a professional real estate agent to present an avenue for customers to search listings against your local MLS, right? That's a value proposition for your website. They can go in and do a search and see what's in the market and look at and browse at listings. But IDX has a very unique feature in that it shows all the public information. If you do a search, it'll show the price, the photos, the description, all that, except for one piece of information. There's one piece of information that gets stripped away from an IDX search result. Any ideas what it might be?
The seller's name and phone number.
You're stealing my thunder. Yes, that's it. Dolores, thank you. Yeah, the listing agent's contact information is stripped out. Your contact information is put in place. And that's awesome, right? Because that positions you to be a buyer's agent. So you're driving down the road, somebody calls and rings my phone, I answer it, hello, and they go, yeah, I was just at affordablegeorgiacabins.com. I see a listing I would love to know more about. Can you tell me about it? It's over on, it's in, Alpharetta. And I can go, wait a minute, I don't have any listings in Alpharetta. You train your brain to go into a buyer's agent script. And at that point, I can speak to them as a buyer and go through and actually maybe close some sort of a relationship there and a deal there, right? I've actually had somebody call me before that did not understand IDX. And they said, something's wrong with my website because I'm getting calls about listings that they're not mine. And I said, well, that's great news. What are you doing with them? He said, well, I'm just giving them to the agent on duty. And I thought, oh my gosh, completely misunderstanding the value of IDX. But they were so afraid, they're like, this is not my listing. I don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? They were nervous. And so it took a little bit of retraining on what IDX does, and I think they cringed when they realized how much business they might have been giving away. Also, we talk about adding buttons here to the menu. And another thing that I have people sometimes will do is they'll say, well, this property search is okay, but I really like the way Realtor.com looks. Or I really like the way Trulia or Zillow looks and functions. So I like to put a link right here that says search properties and takes them to Zillow or Realtor.com. And it's important to know those are not IDX searches. If you take a customer, think about it. You do the work to get somebody to visit your website, that's an accomplishment in itself. And then you put a link to something like Realtor.com because it's aesthetically pleasing, and they click on it, you're sending them off your website over to a competitive area where the listing agent contact is certainly showing, and so they're going to be calling that agent. So it's important to understand the value of IDX here. Today we'll learn how to configure this IDX. We'll connect it to the right database. You have several choices, including FMLS and Georgia MLS and KWLS, and we'll talk about the right fit and getting this tuned up so it's working properly. Also, featured properties down here is powered by IDX. So here's some examples. These 4 tiles, this particular template, the Madison template that I'm on, features 4 tiles to represent showcase of properties. This is completely configurable, and it's powered by IDX. So if I click on this, you can see an example of output. I could have done a search. It would look just like this, but I'll show you. This is the example of IDX, where it's pulling the description and the photos from MLS in real time. It gets updated once a day, and there's no contact information anywhere. The idea is that if the consumer wants to make contact, they're going to have to find your contact up here, which we're going to get control of and put whatever you want there, or they may come down here and interact with this engagement here and complete a get in touch form, to which if they do that, if they submit this information, then the form that they fill out will go to your email address that's on file with KW. So whatever your email address is at KW will receive that information. You get notified that somebody's filled out a get in touch form. So that's pretty good. Today we will spend time on these featured properties and learn how to get control over what's showing here. There's 2 scenarios we'll go through. One will be a scenario that you are an associate without any inventory and need to get listings that match up to your geography and sales point and maybe even a niche that makes sense that you want to feature some listings. I'll even show you today how to feature Keller Williams Atlanta perimeter listings if you just want to be able to show this office's listings on your website. And then the other scenario would be when you have inventory and you want to show your specific listings. I'll show you how to be specific and put your own listings up here. So we'll go through both of those items today as we work on the featured properties. Now behind the IDX search is what they call a slideshow. We'll get control over that as well. I've customized my slideshow. If you've seen a Placester website, characteristically there's 5 slides that slide across. I customized mine and just put 1 slide in. I like the way one image looks, so I just kind of set mine up this way. Today you'll learn how to get control over these images. You can put the slideshow back on and have multiple images sliding through, and there's several themes you can choose from, and I'll show you how to customize it and put your own image or your own slideshow together today as well. Y'all keeping up with me? All right. The site does feature testimonials and blogs. We're not going to get into the testimonials and blogs today. I will tell you the testimonies is really simple. I usually point it out and show you where you can add testimonies. The most common question I get on that is how do people get the testimony? Does the consumer put it on your website or what? The answer is you ask the consumer to email you, and then you take what they've written and then you can post it on the website, giving you a chance to edit it the way you need to and make sure that it's tuned the way you need to have it. If they give you a photo, you can put a photo up. It's very intuitive. I look at testimonies and blogs as content, and just so you understand my perspective today, I'm trying to get you launched. I'm trying to get things set up. I think content is a whole other topic. It's really a good topic one-on-one. Maybe it could be a good topic for a class all of its own. So today when we get into things like adding blogs and testimonies, I'm just not going to get into those things. If this is one of the things you're here for today, there is time at the end if you need me to get in and maybe show you how to do a blog or something. We can perhaps do that. But it does have a blog system that allows you to add posts. Everybody gets 4 demo posts that you can leave on your website or you can delete. And I will point out the area where it is today, and if we have questions at the end, we can maybe get into it. But I really want to get y'all launched and get the construct of your website up so that you can then add content later. It'll just continue down here with reinforcing your brand and additional engagement here. Hopefully somebody fills out and get in touch. And then it finishes up down here with final contact information in your market center affiliation. This is also GREC compliant. We're going to make sure we do this in such a way that it's compliant to those standards. All right, so this is the basic website material we're going to be covering today, is getting this all launched. One thing I'll tell you before we get into the building of your site is there's another feature here that I think is worth mentioning. These websites are mobile responsive. Now, if you're not familiar with that, that's a very common term when it comes to web development. If you talk to a web developer, they're going to ask you, do you need it to be mobile responsive? And generally the answer is yes. What we're talking about when we say mobile responsive is that the website will perform on any platform. It can be a PC or a Mac, or it can be a laptop, it can be a desktop, it can be a mobile device like a phone or a tablet. And I can sort of demonstrate that. Like right now, the page is sophisticated enough that it's analyzing the current width and the current height, and it says, oh, I must be on a desktop computer, which it is. And so it's optimized and laid all these elements out accordingly. But if I trick it by changing this size, bring that in a little bit. Let's see if I can get that handle. I'm trying to get my mouse. There we go. All right, so if I were to make this more like a phone, if you use your imagination, doesn't that kind of look like a phone, sort of? A big phone, right? It's 4 feet high. But again, the website is analyzing the ratio of the width and the height, and it says, oh, I must be on a mobile device, so I'm tricking it right now. And look, everything is there and functioning, right? It's mobile responsive. See where it gets its name. The menu's changed up here. My photo's gone and my title's gone, but if you go over here to this, what they call the hamburger menu, you open it up, boom, there's everything. It's just been reorganized or optimized. There's my social media badges. It fit much better in this format. All right, my property search is still there. My image fits. You notice that my feature properties went from a row to a column, because obviously that makes better sense on a mobile platform, and these photos are actually enlarged, which also makes additional sense that these would be larger on a mobile device. But everything's accounted for and present and functioning. All right, if I were to go and bring this out maybe like that far, that's kind of like a tablet mode. And it still has a different optimization for tablet. It's going to put things, look at that, 2 columns instead of 1 column. So you can see where it's constantly trying to optimize this and make it so that it makes sense depending on what device. There we go. If I bring it out that far, it snapped. See that little, there we go, went to mobile and back to desktop. That's mobile responsive. And there's 2 reasons why that's important. One, have you ever been on a website on your mobile device that is not mobile responsive? All right, that's a lousy experience, right? Because you're sitting there holding your phone and you're pinching and zooming and panning around, and if you're like me, you're trying to hit the links and can't get the links because your finger's too big for the... Ultimately, what do you end up doing on a website like that? You get off of it, right? You say, well, maybe I'll go look at this when I get home to my computer. Or maybe you totally forget to go do that. Maybe you don't go back and get on it. It's the actual opposite effect that we want. When somebody gets on our website, the last thing we want to do is send them away, in pain. So mobile responsive is really important in keeping people on your site when they're on a mobile device, which brings me to point number 2. That has to do with Google. Google knows that more and more people, consumers, are using mobile devices to access the internet. And so with that in mind, when Google's trying to figure out how to rank search results, it scans the whole entire internet and reads every page that's out there. It's an totally ambitious, incredibly ambitious goal to read and archive every single web page that's out there. But Google does that. And it tries to analyze what it's about and how relative the website's about. And it goes through just a huge checklist of criteria to figure out how to rank websites. And now one of the things it looks for is whether or not the site is mobile responsive. It does a test. And if your site passes, it'll actually push your page up higher in the search ranks. If it fails, it'll say this is an older website. It considers it broken. That's another thing Google looks for, is malformed code, broken links. Like if you haven't updated your content in a while and you let links go dead, Google will catch that. Every time it crawls your page, it'll say, wow, there was 0% dead links last time I crawled the page. 6 months later, there's 2% of the links are dead. 3 years later, 40% of the links are dead. It's going to say, wow, this website's, tailspinning, and it's going to push you lower and lower in the ranks because Google wants to protect its namesake when it comes to their customers hitting websites. Not only does the website need to be relative, it needs to be functioning. Google's looking for that. So Google's watching to see, are you mobile ready or not? And these are. So that's awesome. That's baked into the system. Our older systems, like eAgency that I mentioned and eEdge, they are not mobile responsive. So isn't that interesting? These are. It's an important factor when you're trying to decide, should I use Placester or should I use some of the older systems? I think that's an argument all on its own right there, because these are mobile responsive. Right? What do y'all think about the page?
This is in place of, and I'm not going to name that person that was charging me
Regularly.
Yeah.
Right.
by month. It was like, I kept saying, I want an update. So he kept saying, oh yeah, you can update it, you can update it. But it was just like, in the meantime, it got older and older and older because I wasn't. So is Placester, I don't even want to say an alternative.
It is. The way that Placester fits into that scenario, the scenario you're talking about is you had a custom website. I know you and I have known each other for a while, so I know that you had a custom website. And whenever you wanted to make changes, did you have to phone the changes in and the developer made the changes, or did they tell you that you could make them on your own?
Both. And it was neither one of us. I didn't want to pay them, and I didn't have time to do it.
So that's the two problems that this solves. In the past, people said, well, I got to call into my developer and say, hey, I hired an assistant, and I want to put their bio on my page. And the developer would say, no problem, let me punch the clock and start running the clock and charge you my hourly rate to put the new information in. Or maybe you had a system that was supposed to be self-serving, that you could log in and get in the back end. And some of those can get complicated, maybe confusing. The idea behind this is you want to make changes to it. It's easy. It's very simple to get in there and add stuff and add content to it. And you can do it on your own without having to get charged anything extra. It's built into your consortium fee, so it really does a good job of keeping your website costs very low. Sometimes people tell me, I don't like any of these choices. I don't like Placester, I don't like eEdge, eAgency. I'm just going to go do a WordPress site. I hear that all the time. And I tell people, if you're going to do that, one thing you need to realize is this piece right here, the property search, which wouldn't you agree is a very important part of your website. If you want to have a property search, if you do your own custom WordPress page, plan on shopping around for IVX and paying for that out of pocket, which can be, depending on the product you go with, can be either a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 with monthly requirements to keep it running. It's baked into this system here. I mean, that's right there. Their Placester IVX is worth the cost of the site for sure, because it can be very expensive to run your own IVX.
And
so those are some of the values.
Do we get a choice from FMLS versus Georgia?
Yeah, we're going to get into that in just a second, as a matter of fact. We all want to switch gears and talk about your site, how to get in, make changes. I do. So let's do it. To get access to your system, you're going to have to log into mykw.kw.com. It looks like somebody's already been there ahead of me. Let me get in and put my name. If you don't have access to this site, you're going to need to get with your agent services and see what's going on. Diane Black or Felicia can help you with these things. Y'all recognize where I am now, right? I'm in the intranet for KW. And the work we're going to do today is, this is an older system here, eEdge Control Panel. We're actually going to be looking for the new site, which is over technology. So if you hover over technology, if you click on it, don't click on it. It'll send you somewhere else that we don't need to be at. If you hover over technology, it'll build this pull-down menu. And somewhere in the top, for me it's like 3 or 4 down, you'll see KW websites, and that's what you want to click on to get to Placester. So if I click through that, it should take me here to the gateway, the portal, if you will, for Placester. Hopefully everybody in the room that's following along with me, when you got to this area, you see the same thing I have, which is an announcement that your new website is ready, with the option to hit this red button, go to my website. If you have go to my website, go ahead and click on it now. If yours says something different, like your website's not ready, we're still working on it, come back later, then there could be issues with your profile. If you've been here more than 7 days, usually that would indicate that there's something missing from your profile. If you've been with Keller Williams less than 7 days, it's just too soon for this to go live. It takes pretty much 7 days for the site to go live, and you just need to come back after the 7 day. I'm going to click through mine. It says go to my website. Something I forgot to mention is people often point out that when every time they log into MyKW, they get a pop-up that says, go visit your website, get on your website. So you can suppress that. If you look at the pop-up menu, there's a checkbox that says, don't show me this again. Go ahead and check that today. Excuse me. And in the top right corner of the pop-up is a close link. Close it. You won't see the pop-up anymore because now you know how to get to the site, right? I showed you how to navigate into it. That's kind of a frustrating pop-up, but they just wanted to make sure you knew how to get into it. So this is the dashboard for Placester. It's kind of busy. There's a lot of stuff on there, but we're going to make short work of this dashboard here. And what I want you to do is look where it says Quick Actions, and look in this area and see if you have View Live Site, and do you have Edit Site?
Yes.
If you have View Live Site or Edit Site, click on Edit Site. If you don't see this, if yours says Launch Site, if you see the words Launch Site right here, I don't have Launch Site, I've already launched mine, but if you have Launch Site, go ahead and click on Launch Site.
I don't have any of those.
You don't? What do you have?
I have site set up, and then I have to add brand
scroll
and
down.
launch my.
Let me get a peek at what your screen looks like. This stuff changes from time to time,
Scroll down a
so
little bit.
you need to scroll down under Quick Actions.
Okay, Scott, while you're here, where do I need to go?
KW Websites.
Okay.
Yep. And then scroll down until you see the red button. There you go. Go to my website. And then, that's all right. It'll come up. Sometimes you gotta just come on. All right. And then scroll down to below this. It's going to say quick launch or quick actions. And you've got launch site. Go ahead and click on launch site. If you're somebody that clicked on launch site, on the following page after you launch the site is the option to click edit. Go ahead and click on where it says edit site. If you did not have launch and you went straight to edit, just hang on, we're catching up to y'all. Now what I did for myself before class, I just showed you affordable Georgia cabins, but I also created a blank slate. I'm going to call my blank slate up. There it is. This is a version of the Placester site that's never been touched. I'm going to go through all the settings today together with you so you can see how I build my site. So here's my quick actions now that I'm on this demo. And I actually have edit site at the moment, so I'm going to click on edit site. So everybody should be in an area that looks like this. Does this look familiar? Is this what you got on your screen?
Yes.
If you get lost, raise your hand. I'll definitely help you get caught up. That is about the only major, you're going to see A or B before we get on the same page. Everything else from here on out should be the same thing that I have on my screen, should be on your screen. So this is where we're going to be spending our time today, doing our work. We're going to be focusing on this listing section here, going through all these categories and working on these pieces, and then we're going to get into our site design. We're going to work through all these pieces. We'll skip one or two we don't need, but for the most part, we'll go through all these. And it usually takes me up to about 4 o'clock when I finish up with when I finish up this whole section. What I usually ask people to do is let me get through an entire section before you ask questions, because I do a pretty good job of getting most common questions answered. But if I get through this section and I haven't answered a question, just give me a chance to ask a question. Y'all have been pretty good. Sometimes classes, I got people's hands are going up and going up. Next thing you know, we miss out on content that I had planned for the class. So I just want to make sure we stay on track. I don't think it's going to be a problem today, but just let you know. Let me get through a section, then I'll ask for questions. I'll get through this section, and we'll be at the end, and then we'll switch into more of a workshop mode where we'll take a break for a minute if you need to, and then we'll go through, and I'll come to that side and sit with you on an individual basis if need be, and work on your stuff. Does that make sense? Is there anybody lost? Y'all ready? Okay. So what we're going to do to get things started is we're going to click on IVX Integration, this first option for IVX Integration. And we're going to get this pull out here that's going to let us to choose these different databases. And what I'm doing at this point, where they've got us starting the first activity, is we're actually, it relates over here to this search. We're starting by getting this search configured to the right database. So when somebody does a search, they're getting listings from the database that makes sense. So these are our options right here. Georgia MLS, First MLS, and Keller Williams Listing Service. A lot of folks tell me they get here and this is checked automatically, Keller Williams Listing Service and nothing else. Anybody in that situation? Okay. So think about this for a minute. KWLS, or Keller Williams Listing Service, what is inside that database? If you looked inside it, you would see Keller Williams listings, right? You would not see competitive listings. You wouldn't see Remax or anything like that. All you'd see is KW. So if your search tool is the trigger is set for Keller Williams Listing Service only, then when somebody does a search, they're only going to see results that are Keller Williams results. And that's no good, right? Because we want to show everything on the market. So it's important we get off this KWLS. I'll take that off. I guess some places in the country don't have full integration, so that's the best they can do. But for us, we have two options. We have Georgia MLS and First MLS. And so one thing you could do is you could turn both of these on. If I did that and saved it, now what would happen when somebody does a property search is they would get results from both databases simultaneously. You're going to have duplications in your results though, right? It'd be the same physical address with an MLS number and then the same physical address with a Georgia MLS number, which is okay. It's really a personal choice whether you want that to happen or not. Some people argue that while you're supposed to put your listing in both services, it doesn't always happen. So the argument is I'll tolerate duplications just in case somebody put a listing in one and not both services, right? That's one argument that I hear. Other people say, I hate the duplications, I don't want them, which would be the best service for me to connect? And I would answer that question by saying geographically, if you're doing business in this area, up in the metro area, north of I-20, we certainly are north of that, then FMLS is probably going to be the right answer. If you're doing business outside of the city or below 20, then you just want one listing, I would choose one listing service. I would choose Georgia MLS over FMLS.
Well, what if you're doing both? Like my office is here, but I stay downtown.
Yeah.
I stay in Grant Park, so I serve Grant Park, Kirkwood.
Where's Grant Park in relation to I-20 though?
It's right there at 20.
It's right there. I would probably do both.
Right.
And you're just going to have duplications.
Right. Thank you.
If you see that it's consistently duplicating like every time, then maybe you go back and undo it. If it's bothering you. But to be safe, I would do both just to be sure. Yeah.
And so
Right.
I'm just the opposite. I'm really south. I'm like Peachtree City South, Tyrone. So they use more Georgia MLS
Yeah.
than First MLS.
So if you wanted to, you could show both, or you could undo FMLS, and you could focus on Georgia MLS if that makes sense for your business.
Mine doesn't show Georgia MLS.
What do you have?
Just FMLS and Keller Williams.
Then there's something missing from your White Pages profile. If that's going to be a problem for you, if you're thinking you would want to add Georgia MLS, you can go talk to them about updating your profile. But if it's not a big deal for you, I wouldn't even worry about it. Some people occasionally will ask me, they'll say, hey, I work out in Athens, and I don't see, there's an MLS that's out there, I forget what it's called, and I don't see it here. What can I do? You can go up here to the top and you can request a specific integration. These two are shown by default because we did a blanket agreement with the broker, with Gene Rawls here, and for all the market centers, we've just got a standing agreement, so everybody gets turned on for these two. But if there's a service part of Georgia that you work that you don't see, then you can go through here and go through this process. Whoops, I didn't mean to actually start that. But you can go through this process and you can request access to a spinoff if you need one. But for the most part, for 99% of the people that are in this class, I would say either both or FMLS is going to be the right answer. Make sure KWLS is turned off and lock that in. And by doing so, the database is now in play. My new website should be talking to, I did it, now I did it. See, I pushed that button that I said I didn't mean to push. Now look, it's going nuts on me. Let me see. I'm about to have to do a little dance for you. Let's see if we can get this back. Okay, yep, that's my new one. We're in, go ahead and launch the site. Or edit, let me take a look at the IVX integration. Okay, yeah, that's what I want. For this example, I'm just going to do FMLS. I'll save that. And now my website is talking to FMLS. We've completed the first activity. Let's go on to global filters. So what global filters do, before I get into what they do, let me just show you the right answer. If you go into global filters, for most people in the room, the right answer in global filters is going to be selecting this first tab called All Listings, and then making sure this sentence that says display all MLS listings on my website, make sure that that's checked. And sometimes people tell me it's checked, sometimes they tell me it's not when they get this far. Make sure it's checked and hit save, and that should make that should be the right choice for most people in the room. Here's what global filters does. Watch this. Don't do what I'm about to do, but just watch. I think people start experimenting and trying to figure this thing out on their own, and they'll wind up over here. I get this phone call all the time. They'll wind up over here, and they'll say, you know what? I just took a listing for $300,000, and for some reason, it's not showing up on my website. And I'll hear that, and I'll think of global filters. Look at this particular filter I just set. If I went in and set a max price of $250,000, if I were to go and save that down here, and it's a global filter, then what that means is nowhere on my website would I see anything over $250,000.
Right.
You can see the problem there, right? So when I hear that call, I'm usually like, let's go look at your global filters. And I'll see all kinds of stuff in here. I'm like, oh, let's clear that out. The idea is don't go in and filter that. Come back over here and say, show all listings on my website. It should say display all active. If I was to write that sentence, I would have rewritten it, display all active MLS listings on my website, because that's really what it does. And that way you're presenting everything to your customers, and they can filter it based on their interest, right? So you're not omitting something. Yes,
Mine
sir?
doesn't show the display of all MLS.
What is that?
It doesn't show what it have there. Display.
You don't have the sentence even?
No.
That's interesting.
It says showing 51.
Oh, is it saying it's showing 51,000? So mine says 51,000. So what it is it's probably because you only had just that one MLS choice, I bet.
Okay.
I'm thinking, because if it's saying 51,000, then you're good to go.
Because mine is double that, 103.
Yes, because you doubled it.
Mine's
Sorry.
256,000.
Okay, all listings. There it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right there. You definitely want to hit that checkbox. Yeah, I'll tell you what, if you were to have KWLS selected, this number skyrockets. Because here's the thing about KWLS, it's nationwide, right? Telltale sign that somebody is connected their IDX to KWLS is if you see on your site or somebody else's site listings like in Texas and Florida and Oregon, California, you know, okay, they connected to KWLS. You can tell your friend, hey, you might want to double check that. Right, so the number of listings for 51,000 is just the number of active listings in FMLS right now. They're just, I guess they decided to show you that number. Most important thing is check that sentence and then hit save. Let your customers filter through the results. That way you can show potentially everything that's active.
Mine shows 256. Did I hit the wrong button somewhere?
Which button did you hit? Go back to IVX Integration and look and see what these dip switches look like. What you got?
It's like everything in
You got three
MLS. When it filtered, unless you specified, it's all listings.
Well, wait a minute. What do you have at IVX Integration? Okay.
Oh, I have these.
Hit save on
choose
that. And then go back to global filters.
That's the number that I have.
Yeah, that's a strange number. I don't know why. Let me see something. Right click on that and choose refresh. Display all. No filters. Nancy, you broke the thing.
I think so.
I can't believe you. Go back to edit site. I've never seen that before where somebody's got the right integration. FMLS. Let me turn it off.
Is anything checked on filtered list?
Yeah, I just checked your filters, so I was thinking the same thing you are. I just cleared the IVX integration. So what I've done is I've turned our integration off, and now I'm going to go turn FMLS back on. Save it. All right, you drive. Go check it out and see what your global filters looks like. It's thinking. There you go.
There you go.
All right, you're in
Thank
business. You're welcome. All right, so global filters and IVX integration, very important pieces of our webpage. This next piece, featured listings, this is the first area that as we start making changes here, we're going to have a visible representation, a strong visible representation on our website. So one thing I like to show is you can take a peek at your progress of your site by going up here to the top and hitting View Live Site whenever you want to see what's going on your page. So as you're making changes to these different categories, you can hit View Live Site, it'll show what your website looks like. So coming up now, this is pretty much an untouched Placester website. This is my brand new one that I created right before class. And the only thing I've done is attached it to FMLS, and I've set my global filters to show all listings. Nothing else has been set. You can see the characteristic slideshow. I disabled my slideshow, remember, but that's what it looks like. That's one theme slideshow. But where we're focusing our energy right now is on featured properties. There it is right there. So this is the Madison template again. The system does start you out with the Madison by default, which features 4 tiles. So I've got some listings there. Also a telltale sign that I did successfully connect to FMLS is the fact that I see FMLS badges on my listings. So that's proof, in one form of proof that yes, when I connected to FMLS, that was successful because I see that. So a couple scenarios, one that you don't have inventory and another scenario that you do have inventory. So let's talk about when you don't have inventory. I'm sure you would love to sell a $21 million house, right? I mean, of course, but that's going to be a problem, right? I mean, these are great listings, but they're just not realistic. Probably not for somebody who's starting your business out. And so what we want to do is gain control over these listings that are showing up. And the first thing we want to work on is get the right price, and then get the right geography, and then maybe take it a little bit further. So let me show you how we're going to get control over those tiles. I'm going to go back over here to my control panel. And we just finished global filters. Keep on going down to featured listings. In this first scenario, what we'll do is we'll use this filtered listings tool. Later we'll do specific, but right now, filtered listings. And the idea is that you set up criteria that determines what's going to show up in those 4 tiles. Now the first time you come here without anything defined, the system will start out by showing minimum beds and baths, minimum price, max price, and zip with no values in there. So this is what it looks like the first time. But if you've got anything set already, then yours will look a little different than mine. You'll only see the values that are set. One reason why you may have values set and you've never been to the web page control panel yet, but yet somebody has done some settings in there, is your agent services group usually works to advance your onboarding process, and they'll get in there on your behalf a lot of times, and they'll set up your featured properties to pull from the market center, or they'll do some things like get the logo in for you. Different market centers do different levels of assistance with that. So I don't know what they do here, but if you already see criteria defined, that's probably who did it. Nothing to worry about, but you can get total control over it as you're learning now how to specify the various criteria. And so since we know that this price is an issue, let's work on getting the price a little bit more realistic for Dunwoody. So there's a max price, conveniently. I'm going to use that. If I didn't see max price here, I could search for it through these library of criteria. Look at all these criteria I can choose from. But it's here, so I'm going to use it right here. Max price. So tell me, what's the market like here in Dunwoody? If I was a new agent, just starting my business, I'm a rookie agent, want to show some listings that are in the right price point, kind of in the mid-range price point, what would you say the max price in Dunwoody would be? Anybody have insight on that?
About 2 million.
For a max price, 2 million? That seems high to me. I thought it'd be like closer to maybe $1 million or 850,000. Y'all think 2 million? Go lower?
Yeah.
I feel like a game show.
About 800.
Lower or higher?
800?
800 to $1 million.
I think so. For the middle, what do you call it? The median price? That's what we're looking for, right? Let's do 850. See what happens. 850. I do like you thinking big though. 2 million. That's awesome. All right, so 850,000. I need another zero. If I hit enter, There it is, 850,000. All I got to do is put integers in there. I don't have to put commas and dollar signs. It'll do it for me. Now, as I hit enter, what happens is it just actually did a search, and it shows me the results down here. 47,434 listings match my criteria. And the one and only criteria I've got is 850,000. Right? So these are the listings that match my criteria. Now, in a real world scenario, you probably would go through and have a mindset of what all these values would be, and probably even some of these values here. And you would go ahead and call those up and dial them in at one time. But just to make a point, I'm going to do one at a time for a second and just show a couple of them, watch the impact it has. So if I go to save and lock in my one criteria, I can hit view live site now, and it comes up. And we should see a change. 850,000. They're not as pretty as the 12 millions, are they? The $20 million listings. But I'm getting my price right.
But why would you adjust the price if somebody comes in and they go, I haven't been pre-qualified, I've got to call in?
It's about connecting with your target demographic. Like, you know the business you're trying to get. And this is just a showcase of featured properties. So you would never want to go in and limit your property search. The choices we're making right now have zero impact on that search. But this is your showcase, right?
Got it.
So
Okay.
you know your demographic, you know your geography, the price point where you're trying to do business, and that's what you want to echo right here.
I mixed up feature versus
Right, it
search.
happens. Sure. So we got the right price, but we got the wrong geography. We got to dial in this geography. So we'll go back up here and keep digging. Featured listings, 850,000. Let's change. Notice how those other criteria are now gone. So now all I've got is my set criteria, and then I can browse for more. I can add search criteria. So let's go find some geographical search criteria. Under a category called location, and there's quite a few under location to choose from. This has evolved as I've taught the class. I remember back when it was only city, state, or area is what they call state, believe it or not. It was area, city, county, and they added the word state, and zip code back in the day. And then some of these more of these have showed up. I've played around with it a little bit. Identifying geography by high school is a really interesting way to do things. Like maybe your sweet spot is Wheeler High School or something like that. You could designate that as your geography. You go in here and add that as Wheeler. And then it would impact your featured listings. It would show listings at 850,000 or under near Wheeler, you know. But what I'm going to do is a little different. I'm going to go in and I'm going to use Dunwoody. So I'm going to add criteria, and I'm going to go find city. I'm going to add that. And as I start typing, we should see it suggest. Now, understand that as I'm typing this, you see the suggestions. This is not my browser making suggestions. You know how when you fill out a form, ask you for your name, and you filled your name out before so it suggests the rest of your name? That's not what's going on here. This is the real-time connection to FMLS, and it's saying, yes, I've got cities that begin with the letters D and U. Go on, what else? What else you got? There's 3 of them right there. And so as I start completing it, you can see where it's just in real-time connection. It's just interesting. I chose Dunwoody, and in this particular field, it accepts additional values. Right? Dunwoody is now captured in this little balloon, and then over here I've got a flashing cursor. I could continue by adding maybe Sandy Springs if I wanted to. You can see, yeah, that's the value sitting right there. I could add multiple cities in here. It's up to you how you want to do it. Whereas over here, this is a one value. I can only put 850,000 in that. So I could play around with this different result. Keep in mind though, like what if I were to say something like Buckhead. Think of this like you think when you're using FMLS. What is Buckhead, Georgia in FMLS?
Atlanta.
It's not down the road. It's actually north of Atlanta in some farm community. There's Buckhead, Georgia is an actual city outside of Metro Atlanta. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. Some of y'all did. So be careful. Realize you got to think about this like you would think when you're working with FMLS. East Cobb. You're not going to find East Cobb as a city in this system because it's talking to the database we connected. So if your sweet spot is East Cobb, you'd have to think in terms of neighborhoods, zip codes, or schools and things like that. You couldn't use the city name. You could do Marietta, but then you're going to have East Cobb and surrounding areas, Marietta. You got to play with it a little bit. That makes sense? So I'm doing Dunwoody now, and I'm going to go ahead and search that and see what I get. I got 225. Wow, that really took a whack out of those results, right? Because before I put Dunwoody in there, it was showing me 850,000 max price all over the entire state. But now I've zeroed in on Dunwoody, so it's reducing my number. Instead of 40-something thousand listings, I'm down to 225. I can go ahead and save that and go take a look and see what that looks like on my website. Now, I have showed you the view live site. I don't know if you've caught on, but every time I click on it, it spawns a new copy. Look at that. I'm collecting copies of my website up here. Every time I hit that, a new copy spawns up, and that gets kind of messy. So here's what I usually do. I usually don't keep clicking there. I just leave one of these up. There it is right there.
Refresh.
And I just refresh. So, oh, look, that was the original one back when we first started. This is now out of date. I'll just refresh that because it gets cluttered really quick. So look what's happened. Ooh, I like that kitchen. That's a strong leading shot, isn't it? So now I've got the right price and I've got the right geography. So things are starting to happen with my future properties. How many listings do we have? 225, right, was the list. So it's important to know that while I'm seeing 4 of these, I've really got a list of 225. The first 4 of that list are showing up. You can imagine the row just continues way past the screen down out into the hallway. All right, it's sorted. Right now, it's sorted according to price. If I go look at my settings, the sort order is by price. So the highest price first. So what I'm basically saying is the 4 highest price of my list are showing up, and then the rest of that 225 just go off the page. Which means if this Lake Cove, if Lake Cove were to sell, if this one were to sell, then that would come off my website. These 2 here would slide over, and the next one that's currently out of view would come into view and fill that spot. Which is cool because that makes it an unattended process. If I got 200 or so listings meeting my criteria, then I know I can pretty much set this and forget it and know that inventory is just going to dynamically flow in and out according to my sort order and according to what's happening in real time at FMLS. So that's kind of nice, you know, I don't have to constantly keep up with these 4 tiles. Sometimes people will focus on this descending price. I've heard people criticize the way that looks. Like, is this really a featured properties list? Scott Hardy, you chose these because it looks like you just made a list, right? So one thing I'll show you that I think is an interesting filter is to go back into your search criteria. Just missed that. Back into featured listings. And to manipulate the sort order. Take a look at this. I can come in here and I can say, instead of sorting by highest to lowest, the alternative that I like the most is total images. This is an interesting filter. This is tempting to say days on the site, use the newest. While that is valuable information to know what's newest on the site, usually what happens is a lot of times you end up with temporary images or no image because sometimes the images come later. And so if you have something that just hit the market today and it shows up on your webpage because you sorted by days on site newest, you may have several that are missing photos. That's kind of not so good.
Placer doesn't refresh.
Total images?
It takes time. Yeah. Well, a lot of times people don't get the images in, they don't
Or they take it with their cell phone.
aggregate for a day. But total images most is an interesting filter. If you hit that, of course, if I search it, my 225 stays the same. I'm not changing my criteria. I'm just resorting it. Lock that in and go look at the page. Now watch what happens to my inventory. These are pretty good shots already, but a lot of times what happens is you end up getting really pretty listings up in your featured properties because they have more photos. Now occasionally somebody will go and take a ton of photos of a real ugly listing and that ends up in the front. That's not real ugly, but I think I've kind of hurt myself a little bit here. I had a better result a minute ago. That's the thing about Dunwoody. A lot of those listings are already pretty. But here's my point. If you look at the prices now, they're no longer descending. They're actually, I shuffled the deck by changing it. So it looks like for some reason I've chosen this. So why did I choose this? Well, call me, I'll tell you why. You know what I mean, kind of thing. That's not a bad listing, obviously. It's just, I think they were trying to show the yard, I guess. But I think that's kind of interesting to go through and sort according to most images because it does shuffle the deck and it gives a nice appearance. You know, I could come in here and maybe I didn't like that one. I could maybe go in and find a criteria about it that I could cancel it out if I really worked at it.
So do I need to type that in the box for total images? Because it's not on the drop down. It didn't come up on my side.
If you go to featured listings and go down here to sort, it's a little bit low. Just see, here's our existing criteria.
Mhm.
But if you come down, you should see sort order, and when you click on it, you should see total images most. It's the third option.
Default sort,
Yep, default sort.
total images. Got it.
Yep, total images most. Those are pretty cool. Nice little filter. I could continue filtering. Look, I could go over here and I could say, add search criteria. Maybe I want to show, how about property type? I don't know the difference between property type curated, property type raw. I'm assuming this is something to do with different MLSs out there. I don't know. But I do know if you do property type, just that one right there, it'll work. And if I add that, I can come in and I can say property type, show me only residential detached. Because sometimes you'll get in there and you'll see land deals and commercial
Yeah, that's,
deals.
Right.
Or maybe you want to get rid of them. Or maybe you just want to show commercial deals. I don't know. Maybe you want to do residential attached. What's that? Residential attached. Is that a condo?
Townhome.
Condo.
Townhomes.
Townhome.
Okay, now,
So maybe I do that.
So,
So I just went in there to add search criteria.
uh-huh.
And I went and found, I just browsed through here. You gotta go down a little ways till you find property type, price. Oh, it's under property details, and then come down, you'll find property type.
Oh, okay.
what does property type curated mean?
I don't know,
Oh, okay.
I haven't figured that out. So I chose property type, I did two selections. I did residential attached and detached. I could keep going, I could say, okay, but also maybe I don't wanna get rid of rentals.
So when you did property type, you have to also type in residential, detached and attached?
Nope, I chose it. Watch. If you do, watch. Okay, add search criteria. I'm going to go find property type.
Mhm.
There it is. I'm going to add it.
Add it.
Now there it is. So now I'm going to tap on it and I can hit check boxes and say I want to do
Okay.
residential detached. And
Gotcha.
that's selected, so I'm good. I could also come in here and do purchase types. Purchase type. I stay away from the raw. I don't know what that's all about. Add purchase type. There it is. And if I choose buy or rental, I cancel the other out. So if I choose buy, and let's save that, that'll cancel the rentals out, which is nice because you can get the rentals out of your inventory list, right? So I'll save that. Go look at my webpage. It probably didn't make a huge difference with this, but maybe. Let's see. Maybe the exact same ones. Actually, look at that. Was that house for rent or something? Because now, look, it changed everything. Interesting. Right? This may be my particular target demographic right here. And so maybe this works. Maybe this is my sweet spot. Or maybe, I hear a lot of times agents talk about their neighborhood is their territory, you know? What if you just took this a different approach altogether, went to featured listings? What if I went in here and blew all this out? Boom, 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 boom. Take that out. What if I did search criteria? What's the difference between a neighborhood and a subdivision? Anybody know? Is that just MLS terminology, you think? Or would you consider them kind of the same?
I thought they were the same.
Me too.
Well,
I'm going to
it
do,
could
But
be
subdivision is more
neighborhood
like
because
planned.
a
Like
subdivision
Stone
is planned.
Stone Mountain is probably a great example of a subdivision, but in each area it's got a different neighborhood.
is that right? Interesting. So you think maybe a subdivision may be a larger footprint?
No, I disagree. I think it's the other way around.
The other way around, neighborhoods
Yeah.
with subdivisions inside it.
Yeah.
There's one way or the other, I bet. And
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way. That's interesting. Well, let's take a look at like, what do y'all, as realtors, what do y'all speak in? Do y'all talk about neighborhoods more or subdivisions?
I'm talking
Is it
about
better
subdivision.
or schools?
Subdivisions, okay.
I think it just depends on the area you serve.
Well, let's put subdivision in. Can y'all think of a subdivision for an example here at Dunwoody? Or you can name anyone if you want. Let's see. I know if I start typing the word deer, usually I get something in Dunwoody. I start typing Dunwoody. Man, look at that. Nothing's coming up for subdivision. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to try neighborhood. Add. I mean, come on. Dunwoody Country Club should come up. Whoops. Totally butchered that. Dunwoody Club Creek. I mean, shouldn't I see Country Club in here? Country Club. How do I not see Dunwoody?
You had some.
Let's see. I've got neighborhood, remove. Let's try subdivision again. That is so crazy. I'm not going to spend much more time on this, but I'm curious to know. Subdivision. See how it's not giving me any confirmation. Nothing's pulling down, and it's not. So that's not catching. So I'm going to go back to neighborhood, add that, and let's just type in Dunwoody. Let's just say Arbor at Dunwoody Springs was where I lived, and that's where I'm trying to build my business, right? So if I chose that neighborhood without any other criteria, because really the geography is so hyper locally focused that that's really the only criteria I think I need. Oh, there was just one. That's kind of disappointing. Can we add another one? Let's see. How about, let's keep going with Dunwoody. Let's do Briars. Search. Oh, you're killing me. I'm trying to fill 4 squares.
How about Meadow? I'm thinking Meadow Lake, Meadow.
Let's just type in Meadow.
Just type in Meadow.
Quite a bit. Oh, no, really, look at that.
Not
It's just,
really.
so let's just do October 1. I'll do a couple more here. Let's just get 4 in there. Maybe this one go. Let's go with that. All right, so maybe these are neighboring neighborhoods. This is where I live. All right, so I could go in here and there's 4. I could save those. Go look and recycle the page. And in some neighborhoods, you'll see 1 or 2 listings. Other times, depending on how big it is, you'll see 15 or 20 or whatever the case is. But like all these houses are right here in that neighborhood. So imagine if I'm in a conversation with somebody talking about, well, I'm really working hard in Ashton Meadows. This is where I live, and I'm trying to be the agent for this neighborhood. You can go visit my website at DunwoodyHomefinder.com. I'm just making this up. And when they land on your website, and yeah, maybe it's DunwoodyHomefinder.com, but they see the featured listings are truly in the neighborhood you just spoke on, then that makes sense. It kind of correlates to your marketing campaign. Yes, sir?
Mine doesn't show the images.
No, you have no images? Does it say no image?
I see no images here.
But does it say no image? That's actually an image sometimes. It'll say no image. Oh, you won't see images here.
Oh, okay.
It's not until you get on the webpage.
How,
Yeah.
Where do you go to see those?
Hit save
Okay.
and scroll up. Go up the page. Click view live site.
Oh, okay.
There you go. You can see. Sometimes when I'm talking to people about how to fill out your featured properties, I can sense there's a lot of stress over trying to identify everything you're willing to do. Like maybe you work in Stockbridge, but you also work in Dunwoody, and you're trying to cover the canvas, the whole area, and so you're thinking, what am I going to put for featured properties? And I'll see people filling this out, and they're in featured properties, and they've got 15 neighborhoods, 10 cities, a wide price range. They listed all the schools they could think of. It's not like keywords with the search engine. It doesn't work that way, right? Don't feel like you need to put everything you're willing to do. Think about the business you want. What are you targeting, and get that conveyed here. And the analogy that I share is, think about like when you go to the mall, and you're walking through the mall and you see all these different stores. What do they do in their showroom window? Do they put all their inventory and cram it in the showroom window so you can see everything in the store and maybe come in? Or do they take a selection of things to sort of get you interested, to build some engagement, and you go, ooh, I like that. Let's go in. And now when you get in, then you start browsing everything on the rack and looking at everything in the shelf. That's the mentality that I'm trying to convey here. So think about your target demographic and think in terms of pinching a nerve on the business you want. What can you do to pinch that nerve of engagement so that they go, oh, you're selling what I'm buying. Let me come in and take a closer look. That's one way to think about it. Did you need me?
Just a quick question. There's a debugging program running on my computer.
Watch it.
Okay, are you
No, I'm
finished
just
with
kidding.
it?
Yeah. What program are you running? Winmore?
No, I don't. It was just there when I came back. From
Winmore is the only one that's got a debug. So is it OInsight debug or OInsight 32 debug? Yeah, you can go to Task Manager and kill it. It's fine.
I didn't know if it was something you were running.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's got to be, when you arrive, it doesn't show me the images either.
Right, you won't see the images there. So
Yeah, but-
in this page, you won't see the images.
I know, but you said view live.
Yep, view live site. Scroll down. So this is an e-edge product. This is not the Placester site. Come back over here to Placester. Yeah, that's a bit off track there. So go back to Placester. And then click on view live site so I can see what's happening. Okay. Go back here to Placester. Is this a touch screen? Okay. It looks like somebody has configured your domain to go to, this is, I forgot how to say your name, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Portillo.com, which that web address is probably pointing to your e-edge site. You and I need to talk. We need to get together and undo that if you're going to use the Placester site.
Okay.
So, yeah, I understand your question now.
Thank you.
All right. Let's say, one more example here into this type of scenario. Let's say you want to show the listings just from the market center here. You don't have inventory and you want to help out. It's a real common request. People say, how can I show Atlanta Perimeter's listings? Well, what you can do is you can clear out all your settings here and you can go to add search criteria and choose, there's a category for agent office, there it is. And you can choose office ID and put in your broker code. You click add. What's the broker code here?
KWAP01.
That's right. It's actually 0, just to be clear. But yeah, KWAP 01 or 01, however you want to say it. If I search that, 293 listings are active with this market center. And I can still continue to filter those. I can say, okay, first thing, they got to be QAP 01, but also I know there's a lot of commercial agents here, so I'm going to go to property type. And I want to make sure that, since I'm not a commercial agent, I'm going to go in and make sure that I cancel them out. I'm going to do residential detached. I really don't know the difference between residential and residential detached. I would click both of those together, actually. See what kind of results you get. Search that and filter them out a little bit. You can still clean up the list, but you're still showing that at its core, you're showing the market center listings. Right, you can go through and do whatever you want here. I'm not going to keep on defining. I'm going to save that. Go look at my page. And now it's going to show Atlanta Perimeter listings. Oh, it's showing a condo because I guess because I did that residential click. Did I do residential attached? I might have. Because that definitely looks like a condo there to me.
Yep.
But anyway, I'm showing Atlanta Perimeter listings, and that's kind of cool. 200 and something of them are going off the page to the right.
So how do you get there? Right now I'm working with somebody in Forest Line. I know how I got him. He was a referral. But if he had looked at the website and he said, "Oh, you just work in Brookhaven, Dunwoody, and Buckhead," how do you just show everything? Or
well, you could do that for your featured properties to show everything. You could not define any criteria, and it would show literally everything. And then, like, what if you went in and you cleared everything out, remove, and what if you did the sort order instead of highest price? What if you did it by total images most, for example, and search that? There's 51,000 listings now. And instead of starting out with $21 million listings and $16 million listings, it should shuffle the deck. Who knows it should see? Look at that. Out of 50-something thousand listings, can you believe this particular listing's got the most photos in FMLS? That's what I'm talking about. That's a rental too, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many? It doesn't show how many photos. Let's count them. No, I'm kidding. What would you do in that situation? I'll give you a hint. There's a filter in mind to fix this problem. You know it's a rental. Go into featured listings. Go ahead and keep your price, undefined. Keep your sort order for total images most, but then go ahead and go to purchase type. Purchase type. Add, and cancel out the rentals by choosing buy. Because I'm sure that's a rental, right? At $2,000. Now let's see what happens. I'll clean that list up a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, what? Are you kidding me?
It's still show.
I mean, surely that's a rental. I thought it would show. Well,
maybe they entered it with the wrong price.
they might have. So maybe I'll go in here If that kind of thing's happening, maybe I can go in here and go to a last attempt here. Let's see, featured listings, and I'll do a minimum price.
Price, yeah.
Right? You see how I'm thinking? I'm just like trying to tackle this little thing that's driving me crazy. Minimum, see price, max price, minimum price. Add that, and we'll say that I'm not going to show anything under $125,000. And because I've sorted this by total images most, still got a lot there, but because of that sort order, they won't know what I'm up to. Let's see if that doesn't help us save a little bit. Oops. Go back and take a look at it now. Heck, that's a lot better than what I had, right? So now it's showing 248,000 and it's all mixed up. It's actually in ascending order, just randomly. Does that make sense though? I mean, I'm just widening it out. All right. Any more questions on that as we go through featured listings? Let's say you want to show your own listings.
Yeah,
We've been showing everybody else's. Let's say you got inventory.
Right.
Well, one way you could do it, a couple of different ways you could do it. One, you can remove all these criteria, and you could go in and you could find this criteria called, it's under agent office, find agent ID. Add that. And then because my website was connected to FMLS to begin with, then it's looking for my FMLS agent ID, my username at FMLS. I don't have an FMLS username, but I borrow one from Lisa Bale. She agreed to let me use her FMLS ID. It's funny, if you asked her, she'd probably be like, what are you talking about? I don't remember that conversation. It was like 5 years ago. I asked her, can I borrow your MLS ID for class? And she said, sure. Lisa Bale, the V Team is her business name. She managed to get her username set for V Team. And if I search that, usually she carries anywhere from half a dozen to a dozen listings, and she's got 7. These are her listings showing up. I really wish it would give you a thumbnail right here so you can kind of preview what you're about to see, but it doesn't. You just got the addresses. And if these are yours, you're going to recognize them, obviously. If I save that and then go visit my page, recycle it, because this is now stale, now I should be seeing Lisa Bale's listings, which they are, I recognize. She had 7. This particular template has room for 4. My sort order is set for images most. And there you go. That's what you get. So if Tuxedo Road sells, that comes off. Those 3 would slide over, and the next one in my list of 7 would fill in that final slot. All right, so now I'm showing my inventory. If you didn't have, now here's the thing, she's got 7. What if she sold 4 listings? Well, then she'd only have 3 showing up. She'd have a blank spot in one of the areas, right? Or let's say you only had 1 or 2 listings. So if I went over here to featured listings, and let's say I did, it's funny because I used to always put this username in, because usually they didn't have more than 1 or 2, and their business is ramping up. Look at that, now they've got 6. Okay, let's just pretend for a second that she only had maybe 2. Check this out. What I can do is come out of filtered and go to specific listings. It's back to V-Team, that's fine, I'll take V-Team. I got 7 out of whatever the case is that match for V-Team. Look how the tool is different down here at the bottom. Now I've got 2 areas at the bottom of my search results. On the left is a direct result of my search criteria. V-Team is the only criteria I've got, 7 hits. There they are. The idea is whatever you move from the left to the right, whatever you put over here in the right column is what gets pinned to your website, and it gets pinned according to your sort order, right? My current sort order, it did get reset to price highest to lowest, that's fine. So I can say show me all if I wanted to. And now all those listings have just moved over. The trouble is, if I save that, go look, it should look like it did just a minute ago. Well, except the sort order is going to be different.
Is that a user error that, where, go back one, where it just says Atlanta, there's no address?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. That's really strange. I wasn't even going to try and tap into that, but yeah, I don't understand what's going on with that one. So maybe we'll just remove it. Why not? So now if I go here and hit refresh, whoops, that's my fancy example. There we go. If I refresh that, these should change. I don't know what's going on with these images. I guess, that's brand new, it doesn't have an image yet. It will probably the next day or so. And then of course here, I guess it's a build or something like that. I don't know why they have a drawing. Right, but what's the difference here between doing specific versus filtered? The criteria is the same, but the results are different. What's different is when I'm in filtered listings, it becomes dynamic. So as my inventory grows and shrinks associated with my ID, this list grows and shrinks, right? But if I choose to put that ID in under specific listings, it depends on me moving things over from left to right. This is a static list. So when I save that now, this list, it'll change based on inventory sale. And if this house sells, then these two will move over, and the next that you don't see that's off the page will slide in. But the core of my list doesn't change because it's related to what I've moved to the right side. So if I do this by user ID, I gotta watch this. I gotta make sure that I'm keeping this up to date if I do it this way. Make sure that when something, now if it sells, it'll come off. But if I go get a new listing, it won't add automatically here because I'm doing specific. Whereas if I do filtered listings and run just the V team, and I get a new listing, it will automatically show up on my webpage. Are you getting that?
Could we do a multitude of both? So
Yes.
say
No, but you can get a multitude of specific listings. Let's say that V team only had one listing. Remove all. Let's just pretend that she had the tuxedo, add that. Pretend like these other ones don't exist. Let's pretend like that's all she had. You go save it, look at the page now. That's stale, let's recycle it. You see what we got? We're just pretending like she only had one listing. All right, so let's say you want to fill that out with additional listings. What I would do is you look at the price, 4.2 million, and look at the area. It's in Atlanta, Tuxedo Road. We know where that is, right? So what you do is you come in here and go to featured listings. We're going to continue to work in specific listings. And now in our scenario, we're pretending that V-Team only yielded one result. We're forgetting all the rest. We're pretending like this is the only one that showed up. So if that's the case, then now we're done with V-Team. We can no longer use that as a criteria because the one that it showed, that it produced is in use. I remove it. Notice it's still pinned, even though I'm changing criteria. So then what I would do is I would come in and add a listing based on her area, which that is, what is that? That's Buckhead area, Tuxedo, what would you call that? What city is that, Atlanta? Let's see if we can find something here that makes sense. How about I'll tell you what, just to make it easier, let's just go to a city and put Sandy Springs in for now.
Sure.
I was gonna put a zip code, but I can't think of what the zip code would be. City, oh my gosh, was I struggling to find that. Let's just put Sandy Springs in for now. All right, so I add that. If I search that, my one listing that's pinned is still there, but now I got 606 listings that match that criteria. What was the price? It was 4.2 million, right? So I want to go ahead and cycle in a price as well and do a max price. Add that, there it is. And I'm going to put it strategically below the 4.2 million. Let's just do even 4 million. Oh, glad I wasn't counting my money. I cheated myself, there we go. Now if I search that, listings under 4 million, my one that's pinned is still there. I've got 605, it didn't really make a huge difference. Now what I can do is I can say add all. Now when I add all, this went up by 10 because it's looking at this first page of results. I can keep doing this. Go to page 2 of the results. Can't get my wheel to work. Add those. There's another 10. I'm up to 21. What I usually do is get these so I can see the page number. Page 3. Add all. And I try to get about 50 or 60 in there so I don't have to keep doing this regularly. I'll just keep adding and adding. Right? So we get about 50. There we go. Now, I've got 61 listings that are in there. If I save this, excuse me, before I save it, make sure that my default sort order is highest to lowest. It must be highest to lowest for this trick to work. There we go. Now look what happens. There's the page, it's stale. I have my Tuxedo Road at 4.2 million. I added additional listings. I added 60 more listings, all below this 4.2 million price. And I sorted it by highest to lowest. So that means that when I recycle this, Tuxedo Road should be safe and sound right here. It is. Now this has become a dynamic list, right? There's the rest of them, and they're in descending order. So then now as these sell and they go off, it'll slide over. But because this is higher, 4.2, than the rest of all these, this will always be in the front. You get what I did there? To lock it in place so that my listing shows up and then my shared listings trail behind. Y'all agree with that? Okay. If you got questions, let me know. If you weren't sure about what I just did there and you want to replicate that on your website, get with me on my consultation slides. I'm happy to explain what I just did slower or differently. But basically all I did was just lock in my own listing and show these dynamic ones. By what I'm doing is I'm leveraging the sort order, right? Featured listings, I'm leveraging the fact that I'm sorting highest to lowest, and all my new ones were strategically priced below the one listing that's mine. That's all I did.
Am I correct in thinking that only active show up?
Yep, only active.
So when Tuxedo sells, will that drop
It
off?
will come off the website.
Okay.
Yep, you got that right. All right, let's switch gears and get out of this listing business here and start talking about site design and layout. It's a weird sound. If I go to theme selection, this first criteria, theme selection here, this allows us to start choosing different. Yeah, it sounds like something was about to break over here. I don't know what that is. I can choose different templates. The default template for everybody is Madison. Let's see if I can beat this. Is it something? Do y'all hear that?
Yes.
It's not the speakers. Wait a minute. I don't know. I'm going to try and ignore it. So this is the Madison template. This is the first one that everybody gets. It's the default. And if you thumb through it, you can see the additional Madisons. Madison Luxury Edition, Madison Metro, and it keeps on going. The Franklin, the Phoenix. I'm going a little quick, but you can take your time as you're following along and thumb through these and look at them. Fremont, and so forth. Keller Williams has an agreement with Placester that when our relationship started, there's the Plymouth, that they would create Keller Williams specific templates, and that's what the Madisons are. The Madison is unique to Keller Williams. Only Keller Williams agents, when you log into the system, Keller Williams agents will see the Madison series. Your competing brokers will not. All right, but when you get to like Franklin, these are part of the retail collection. So everybody, regardless of what brokerage you're with, has the Franklin, the Phoenix, the Fremont, etc. All right, so these are the KW ones here, the Madisons. One thing interesting about the Madisons is, well, I'll get to that in a second. So looking at the first Madison, the basic Madison everybody gets, below the choice of template, you can choose color schemes. So we got red, blue, etc. These are general options. You can't be specific and say, I want a yellow button with a green banner and purple letters. It doesn't work that way. You just choose a basic theme. I want it in orange with orange highlights, or I want it in gray, and you can see the preview of it. Also, with the Madison, you can choose this option here, number 3, select your page header background color. And that choice is either this box or this box. With this box checked, you get a white background up here. With this box checked, you get a colored background. Here we are, colored, full color. And it's going to match the swatch that you choose here. So if I choose green, that's what it's going to look like. Now don't be misled. The preview here is always red. It's a question of whether you've turned on full color or turned on white. And even if you've turned on white, it still shows the preview in the full color. So just don't let that confuse you. Just know that the banner can be changed to full color or white based on the swatches you choose. So if I go in here and choose green for now and save that, now if I come up here and look at my page, which is now stale because I've made changes, I'm going to recycle it and pick up the new change. It should come up in green. Whoops. I must have had the wrong banner chosen. Let's go look. Looks like I had the white banner chosen. Is that what happened? Yep, sure enough, white. So that's what it looks like with white and green highlights versus if I come in here and change it to the full colored banner, it'll basically, whatever you call it, it'll basically superimpose. You'll see that the current green highlights become white highlights, and I got a green background. That's a lot of green going on with that picture. All right, so there's the basic control. What's interesting about the Madison is the only template that features that functionality I just talked about. Look at this, Madison Luxury. You can put a statement. That's the statement right there. Your luxury real estate source, whatever you type there is what shows up in this region here. But you can't change the colors of the luxury because the luxury is branded in black. Bottom line, right? So if you're doing a luxury template, they're all in black. So there's no color swatches, and they don't allow you to change the banner. If I go to Madison Metro, which I asked them once, I said, can you explain the difference between Madison Metro and Madison? Because they look very similar. They said the Madison Metro is just a softer, more elegant version of the Madison. I'm not sure what all that means. It's hard to identify that, but that's what they told me. But look, it does not feature a banner choice. You do get to change the highlight colors. Only the Madison allows you to change this color. And that's a big deal to a lot of people, because a lot of folks want the red. And that's a real common request. They want this red. And actually what happens, here's what happens. People want the red or they want black. I hear people tell me all the time, I saw somebody in the Madison in black. How do you get that? Well, the answer is the luxury is the only one in Madison that offers black. See, there's no black down here. It used to be that in order to even see the luxury, you had to have, you had to have luxury designation on your White Pages profile. Then about maybe 8 months ago, they did something, I don't know why, and everybody now has access to the luxury, even if you don't have that role added to your White Pages. So listen to what I'm going to tell you. If you're not a luxury agent by designation, if you're not a part of the organization, don't choose this because it's branded for luxury and you're probably going to get contacted. They're going to ask you not to use it. Take a look. If I'm in, watch, this is what I mean. If I'm in Madison and I save this and go look, oh, back to red again. Look at the bottom down here. Down here, you see it's got this Keller Williams luxury. I mean, it's Keller Williams logo. Right, but watch what happens if I go to luxury. If I save luxury. Now I can change, I can put logos up in here, but this down here is hard coded. Look at that. And that's a problem if you're not a luxury agent, right? So don't be fooled by that. I've had a lot of people in class go, oh, dadgummit, I need to come out of the luxury. And I don't know why they changed it. It used to be if you weren't, like I said, if you didn't have that designation, you wouldn't even see it, so it wasn't a problem. Everybody had 8 templates to choose from. All of a sudden, one day, we now have 9, including luxury. In fact, if you're a commercial agent, meaning you have the commercial designation on your role in White Pages, you'll see a 10th template will come up, and it's a commercial, the one commercial Placester template. But we don't see it right now because in my White Pages role, I don't have commercial. And I sure don't have luxury, so I don't know why they made that change. But if you're not a luxury agent, avoid it. If for some reason you see access to the commercial template and you're not commercial, don't go for it. Stick to these basic ones, residential ones. I hope I'm making sense. So I want to put myself on to, I'll show you real quick a template that's really popular. I mean, these are all okay. I like them. Franklin and Phoenix as alternatives. But if you're not doing the Madison, one that's real popular is the Plymouth. A lot of folks do the Plymouth, and I'll show you why. I think it's because the Plymouth is one of the retail editions that actually still features a full bleed edge-to-edge image. Like the Madison has that same feature. But look, if I go back and look at the other ones, the images are framed in kind of, A lot of times people don't like those. They want that full image. But take a look at the differences between the Plymouth full image. The property search is below the image, whereas over here, the property search is right smack dab in the middle. That's a significant difference. Now, if you look at an example, if you want to see an example of a working Plymouth, you can go to your Smyrna Realtor.com. That's Christina Zerper's website, out of Cityside, Rawls Group office. And she's got a fantastic use of the Plymouth. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? So that's the Plymouth, and she's loaded up the banner. That first banner is to me the bomb. That looks so great. Because there's a couple things going on here. One, if she would have done this banner as Madison, look where the search would have been. Right across her forehead. And she didn't like that, right? So then she got the search down here. But then, like I told you, Madison is the only ones that feature a full colored background. So she ends up with this white background up here. And what's interesting about the Plymouth, for some reason, the native footprint for the professional headshot on the Plymouth is all the way down here at the very bottom, and that drove her crazy. She's like, oh my gosh. But she wound up creating a custom banner, and she put her headshot in there. I asked her, I said, what'd you do? How did you make this banner? This is an awesome banner. She said, well, she went and she took a photo of a listing of hers, got permission, took a patio photo, on the left. On the right, she went to a free clip art website and downloaded the Home Sweet Home for free. And then she took a tightly cropped headshot of herself and she pasted it on top of those two. She put them together in the background, and that made a seam that she wanted to hide, so she put her headshot over it. And then she got her hands on the transparent Market Center logo, which we'll talk about this in a little bit today. Got to head out?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to get on the video.
Yep, I'll be on the video. And she added that as part of her logo. I thought that was a really great use of, building a custom banner, which we're about to work with the banners here in just a second. So I'll show you. I just want you to see her website, what it looks like on the Plymouth. Very well done. She also has additional slides. She went ahead and filled out the slideshow. But it's a good one for reference. So you can pick the different templates that you want. When you find one you like, choose it. You can reset it to anything you want until you find one that you can settle on. I'm going to keep mine I'm going to do mine in gray, solid background, just setting myself up for a couple more examples here in a minute. There's a glitch sometimes right here that just happened. I don't know if you caught it. I made my selection for my banner and I hit save, and the system has captured me and it won't bounce out. Look at that, it keeps me in. So when that happens, you can just click somewhere in this white area and it'll let go, but it bounces you back to the portal. To the dashboard. So it's okay. I just got to work my way back now to edit site. And now we're back to familiar territory. This is where I was working theme selection. It's just a little bug. If you get lost, let me know. So theme selection, let's talk about the slideshow. The slideshow is this piece that's sliding right here. On mine, I just have one static image. On my new site that I'm doing for fun here, I've got the default slideshow coming through. That's controlled in this homepage slideshow tool. All right, so I just went one below theme. There's theme, we finished that up a second ago. Here's slideshow. So I'm in slideshow, and now I can choose through these pre-built slideshows for starters. This is the default slideshow, Highland. This is the slide that is currently in play. On my site, I can browse through it and see the different images. Here's another one, interiors. All slideshows have a maximum of 5 images per show. All the pre-built slideshows have 5. So this is what interiors slideshow look like. There's the different slides that slide across. I'm going quickly, I know, but you can take your time as you're browsing. Variety. This used to be the default, and then they created the Highland this year, and that became the default. Luxury properties. These are, again, just the slide shows. Mid-price homes. Looks like a Plymouth there. And for those looking for a real challenge, the nature. I don't know how you would use that for your real estate website. That would be challenging. They're beautiful pictures for sure, but hard to convey your real estate value proposition with these things, but there they are. So what you can do is you can browse through and figure out which one you like, which one you want to use. If you get confused about what's in play, look for the blue circle, the white check. That's the ones that are in use. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select variety. Now when I select variety, it goes deeper into some more options. Not done yet. So things I can do. One thing I can do is if for some reason I didn't like this image, I could delete it right there. And I could upload a replacement image. That should get some wheels turning, right? Think about what you would replace an image with. I replaced my image with a cabin, for example. We'll get to that. You can edit the captions. I don't know if you noticed. Oh, that's Christina's. But there's captions. Oh, that one doesn't have captions. Interesting. I've never realized that. So these actually have captions. Beautiful properties with amazing views. That'll be written down right here in this bottom left corner. And the captions are pretty strong. You can usually read them pretty well. So you can caption each image. You can also link the images. I could put a web address in here, and so when that particular slide comes across, it's clickable. If the consumer clicks on it, it'll follow whatever link destination I designate here. One time I said this in class, and somebody said, well, can you give me an example? I don't necessarily follow that. Can you give me an example of how that would work? And I said, really, for the moment, I can't think of an example. And this girl in the back raised her hand. She goes, I can tell you what I'm going to do. And I've shared this with every class because it's such a good idea. She said, here's what I'm going to do. For each one of those slides, I'm going to delete them and replace with a curve shot of my listings, right? So the first one will be my first listing. My second slide will be my second listing. Then on the caption, I'm going to write, click here for a virtual tour of this home. And then for the link, I'm going to put a link to the virtual tour. And I was like, okay, she gets it. That was a really smart use of amending your photos out of stock and putting in your photos. Use the listing photos. Caption, write a caption that's a call to action. Brilliant. And then the link, send it to a virtual tour. Super smart. Somebody else in that same class said, I think I'm going to take one of those images out, replace it with a nice photo of my team, and on the caption I'm going to write, click here to meet the team, and then the link will go to a bio page. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So when conversation ensued, and somebody was like, I'm going to do a marketing campaign soon. Maybe I'll do a flyer for the marketing campaign itself, or an open house maybe, or something special, and I'll put that as my slideshow with a caption that says, click here. I was like, well, that's pretty cool too. Be careful putting mission critical content though behind one of these slides, because you're really putting a lot of trust that somebody's going to understand when the slide comes through that they can click on it, So if you do something like that, I'd make sure that you maybe in just a little bit, we're going to learn how to edit the menu. If there's something critical, you might want to add that to the menu across the top as well. But the slideshow may get some clicks. That's pretty neat use of the slideshow. In this case, I'm happy with all this. I'm not going to make any changes. I want to save it and go take a test drive on my website now that I've changed my slideshow. Let's go take a look and see what we think. So that's stale for sure. That's back when we did the luxury example. Okay, there we go. So now here's my gray Madison with the variety slideshow. Now I've got slides sliding across, and I can see my little captions at the bottom left. That looks good. I'm happy with it until I get to this image right there. Again, you know how I feel about nature images, right? So, not that I have anything against nature. Well, let's go back to this little menu here. I take issue with this because it doesn't really support my brand identity and doesn't appeal necessarily to my target demographic. It certainly does not say Atlanta real estate, right? So I'm going to fix it. Come back over here to slideshow. I'm going to go find the slideshow that's in play. I'm looking for the blue circle, white check. There it is. I want to select, and now I'm going to drill down to where my image that I don't like is found. There it is, and I'm going to delete it. So now I have an option to make. I have two ways I can go. I can, at this point, I could say, okay, I'm done. I can come down here and save this, and I could change my 5-slide slideshow into a 4-slide slideshow, and nobody would be the wiser, right? It'd be fine. The system will take up to 5, but it doesn't require 5. So I could be done with this. Or if you're like me, you're thinking, well, I got a vacancy. Let's fill it up with an image, right? You can upload a replacement image. I can click upload, and now look, the tool's browsing my local hard drive of the computer. So any image I've got on my computer, I can upload and fill the place on slide position number 4. And we're going to do that, right? I'm going to change the image, but before I upload an image, question for you. What do you think is the most important thing when it comes to adding images to your website?
Number one thing. The
Quality.
Size, pixels.
Size and pixels, that's top, that's up there, but not, there's one higher than that. Any other guesses? Just curious to see where your mind goes. It's a legal thing.
Oh, right.
Permission, right? I'd say that is empirically on top. Permission to have the images. Can't emphasize that enough. Let me tell you a quick personal story. So, I told you that I used to have treehousefinder.com. That was such a fun website. I loved it. I love tree houses in real life, you know? And I got a lot of laughs, and people responded to my fact that I had this mock-up treehousefinder.com website. And the Placester sites came along and some years ago, and we started teaching that, and I mocked it up as Treehouse Finder. And in one of my early classes I was teaching, somebody said at the end of class, they said, hey, this is a great class, but you did not really show the blog. Can you maybe now we're at the end, show us how to add a blog post? I'm curious to know. And I said, sure. So being that the website was about tree houses, treehousefinder.com, I went to Pete Nelson's blog. If you don't know Pete Nelson, he's the Treehouse Masters guy, that TV show called Treehouse Masters where they build the luxury tree houses. They're awesome, right? So I said, okay, don't do what I'm about to do, everybody, but watch. And I went over to his blog, and I right-clicked on an image and copied it and saved it to my desktop. And then I copied a couple paragraphs of text and copied that. And I said, okay, now I got my parts. Here's how you do the blog post. And I went in and showed the blog post. And I uploaded the image I had copied, and I pasted the text I had copied and posted it, went live. And I was like, there you go. There's a blog post. And everybody's like, oh, that explains it. Okay, thank you for showing me that. And I dismissed class and went on to lunch or whatever and totally forgot. Yeah. Completely forgot about it. All right, so go forward maybe something like, gosh, it seemed like it was maybe 6 months in the future. And I got a phone call from one of the offices that says, hey, you've been getting a stack of mail over here at the office. Are you going to come get it, or do you want us to open it, or what? And I said, who's it from? And they said, it's from a company called Getty Images. And immediately I thought, uh-oh, that can't be good. And so they started opening these letters, and there was cease and desist demands and all this, and eventually they started, quoting a fine to me and all this, and they started growing each time they opened. I said, just find the latest one. And bottom line is the latest letter was asking or demanding $1,600 for unrightful use of the photo, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Let me make a phone call. And the MCA said, yeah, it sounds like you better make a phone call, And it's like, yeah, let me get back to you. So I called Getty Images to see what I could do. And I thought, I'm going to be bold. Everybody talks about being bold. I didn't really know what bold was back then, but I was like, I'm going to be bold, whatever that is. And I'm just going to speak and tell them what I want. So I get on with customer service, explain my situation. The guy says, what exactly can I do for you today? And I was like, there it is. I'm going to tell him exactly. I said, sir, I am looking for 100% amnesty on this. Look at the site. It's a demo site. I didn't call saying I'm the director of technology for Keller Williams. I was like, listen, I'm a fella that's got to teach this class for my job, and I made a mistake, and can't you see that? And he said, no, I totally get it. I can see you made a mistake. I understand. Let me see what I can do for you. I'll call you back. Which he did. And he called me back the next day and says, hey, great news. We talked about it, and we were going to reduce your fine by 50%. And I was like, that's not terrific. It's still $800-something. He said, well, we paid the royalties on the image to the photographer, and we're not going to be able to recoup that. So basically, we're sticking you with the royalties that we paid. It's roughly half. I was like, wow. That hit home, So I had to crawl up to my boss's office. Actually, I called her, Jean Rawls. Fortunately, I work for a wonderful woman, Jean Rawls, who understands we're human and we make mistakes. And I had to tell her I made an $800 mistake, and explain what happened. And she said, well, let's write a check, pay for it, and get you sorted out, which is awesome. And on the way, at the end of that conversation, or on the way out of the office, whatever, she said, how are we going to make sure our agents don't make the same mistake? And I suggested a public service announcement maybe in every class would make sense. And so you just got your public service announcement just now. That's a true story that happened to me. The story doesn't end. There's more. You want to hear it? It gets worse. So I'm thinking we're good, right? And so I go about and keep teaching the class.
And some time goes by, a number of years, maybe a year or two went by. And at some point, I used to, for testimonies, I used to, come to think of it, maybe this is why I don't like the testimonies and blog part of the website, because I got in so much trouble over these. No, you'll be fine. So anyway, the testimonies that I used to do were comical, and I had celebrities mocked in my website. So I had like Oprah Winfrey with a fake quote saying, Scott Hardy helped me find my dream home in Atlanta. Couldn't have done it without him. I had all these different people, George Clooney. I had Barack Obama, who said, when we come to Atlanta, we just can't thank Scott enough for our vacation house, blah, 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 And I got laughs in class, and it was fine. Well, Barack came out of the presidency, and Trump came in. And so I took Barack's picture down and put Trump's picture up. And I had just a scorcher of a testimony. Like, it was like, Scott Hardy taught me more about real estate in 1 month than more than I'd ever known in my career, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I was just embellishing this thing. Because, he's a real estate mogul. And I was like, that kind of thing, And got a lot of laughs in class. It was fun. So one day, I kid you not, it was actually this office, calls me. And the MCA at the time says, this is literally, she says, you've got a stack of mail. I mean, just like the first call, I was like, oh my goodness. I said, who's it from? And it wasn't a image company, it was an attorney. And they started reading them, and they were representing an image company. And it had nothing to do directly with Trump. It had to do with whoever owned the rights to that photo of Trump. And it was the attorneys were coming at us for like $1,700 over this whole thing. It's a business, people. They're making a business out of you making a mistake and getting images you don't have permission for, and then they go after you. And it's a business. So I had to go to my boss and say, I made the same mistake again, and there's nothing enjoyable about that at all. And this time we actually got our attorneys involved and went head to head. And we got a reduced settlement out of it. And the thing that saved me was the fact that actually it was a demo site, not in production, and I wasn't generating revenue off of it. But still, attorney's fees and the reduced fine, it still came out to, over $1,000 that we had to pay. And so I was like, Gene, I got this. And I went and I just killed treehousefinder.com. I deleted the whole thing. I was done with it, and I was just so over it. And then I built this site here. And moving forward, I'm hoping you're thinking this, well, where do you get safe images? Because from that point forward, I made certain that I had permission for images. I don't want to fall in the same mistake. I mean, I'm actually aware of this stuff, and I fell for it twice and couldn't believe that, So where can you get images? That should be the question on your mind, and have protection. One thing you can do is you can outright buy images, right? You can go to Getty Images or Shutterstock and these places. And I used to say, what if you do pay $200 or $300 for an image that captures your business? It's a business expense, right? And finally somebody corrected me and they said, it's nowhere near $300. It's more like $30 or $50. You can buy some decent high quality images, 1 or 2 or a kit. Usually you buy credits. You apply the credits to the catalog and you can get the images you want. But I was corrected, and somebody was telling me they were going to Getty Images and getting great images for less than $50, and they own the rights to the image. So that's one way you can do it. It sounds pretty affordable. Another thing is you can take those photos yourself, or have somebody take the photos, or pay a photographer to take photos, right? And as long as you have permission to take the photo, then it becomes your property, and you can put it on your website. For me, those two options really didn't work for me. So I found a place that I'll share with you here called, I love this place if you've not come across it, it's called pixabay.com. And pretty much all my training material and demo stuff, any images I work with, comes from Pixabay, almost every bit of it. It's a pretty good library. It is free, and so if you compare it to like Getty Images or Shutterstock, it's not as good as those paid for premium databases, but it's very good for free. So like if I put in Atlanta, you can see I can get some Atlanta images. Now across the very top, those awesome images there, of course those are sponsored, you can see right there, by Shutterstock, who's owned by Getty. So you're really pressing your luck if you were to grab one of these and use it without permission. It would be watermarked anyway if you downloaded it. If you clicked on this, it'd take you to Getty Images. But look, here, from this line down, these are free to use. So you can go find images that you like that are based on Atlanta. You can go put it on your website if you want to. You can search all kinds of things. I like Atlanta. I do Atlanta, usually Skyline, because that's one of the biggest infractions I see. People always go to that, and that'll get you in trouble quick. If you go to, I've heard people raise their hand in class and go, what about Google Images? Can you go to Google Images and do a Google image search and get something? You know, this is you can go to Atlanta, do Atlanta, Skyline even. You can find the images there, but really, you're running a risk here. If I go to image search, the argument I hear people say is, what if you go here? Now, if you start grabbing these images, chances are you're going to get tangled up in some trouble. It's only a matter of time. And people have said, well, what if you go to tools and you go to usage rights and you go labeled for whatever our choices here, reuse with modification, labeled for reuse right there. That's the argument here. Now, can I use these? Well, you're getting somewhere, but you're not out of the woods. A lot of these still come with terms and conditions. You have to provide citation, you have to do certain things with it, link back to the original owner, whatever the case is. And if you don't do those things, then you're in contempt of the terms of agreement. The other thing that I learned in a class, I was at Family Reunion at a website class for Keller Williams Family Reunion, and the instructor began to unpack a scam that's going on where the criminal or the attacker, they would post stuff licensed for reuse, and in the terms it'll say something sneaky like, your website must be hosted on the same IP range as domestic to our server that hosts the image. It's like they may go offshore and have the image hosted on some weird, server in Tibet, and you go to GoDaddy or Placester and you're hosted out of the United States, and that's a conflict. And so then you don't realize that technicality. Now you got the image on your website and you're violating the terms, and they have a very domestic legal team that comes and finds you and gets after you. Stuff like that. It's just, why do you want to expose yourself to that kind of trouble, So I would say avoid these sorts of things. Find the image, make the image yourself, buy the image, or go here to somebody like Pixabay and use one of these images. Oh, look how pretty that image is. That's new. I haven't seen that one yet. I'm going to play with that one. I usually do, here lately I've been doing this one. I've been coming up and grabbing, I've been going to kitchens. I'll just let you see, like you can do things like living room. I mean, there's great potential for some slide shots, right? I mean, it's crazy that these are available. Kitchen is another good one. And I've been doing this one that I have affectionately called Gary's Kitchen. There it is. I call that Gary's Kitchen, right? Because I imagine that's what this kitchen would look like, Keller Williams red. But I'm actually in love with what I just saw, the Atlanta one. I'm going to go back to that and go grab it. Now, when you're looking to fill an image, when you're looking to fill this space, if you're taking notes, you might want to write down that the perfect fit for this is 1,600 pixels wide by 600 pixels high. That's the sweet spot when you're trying to fit. 1,600 wide by 600 high. So as we're going through and looking at these, we want to try and find something that would fit. Now, in a minute, when you click on the image, all the images, they give you their sizes. Look at that, see the sizes? So you can kind of pilfer through that. But if you're wanting to shoot from the hip for a minute, one thing you can do to kind of rule out some shots that would be impossible are things like this. Look, this is a vertical portrait shot. No way you're going to make that work. In fact, at best, you could maybe crop the middle of that, and then it would stretch, and it would look pretty bad, right? So even these are questionable, these squares. If you can find something that's in a rectangle shape or a landscape like that right there, it's got a lot of potential. It's already natively close to the aspect ratio, even though that's probably not 1,600 and that's probably not 600. The ratio of these two make it kind of naturally fit, even if there's some cropping or some expanding that goes on. So that's why I got excited when I saw this one, because it's new to the catalog. It's beautiful. I really like that. I'm going to see what we can do with this one real quick. I'm going to grab it.
What was it, 1,600 by 600 high?
Yeah, 1,600 by 600. So watch, when I go to download here, I get this little matrix of sizes that I can choose from. I'm curious to know how well this is going to work. Should be interesting. It's either going to be great or it's going to be a disappointment, but we'll see. So my choices are 600 or 640 by 265.
1280 by 530, 1920 by 796, and then 5000 by 2074. Which one do I choose? Well, you know the size, ideally 1600 by 600. Have you ever tried to upload an image that was too small for the footprint intended? So you upload it and it takes that small image, and what happens? It stretches it to fit, and you know it because it loses its quality, it gets pixelated and stretched out. You know when that happened, right? But have you ever taken an image that's too big for the intended footprint and uploaded it and forced it to constrain to that? You don't lose any quality at all. It's fine, right? So keep that in mind. You want to find something slightly larger than your target size and either crop or allow it to scale down. You won't lose quality. So if we look at those numbers again with that in mind, 1280 by 530, it's just shy. 1920 by 796, it's over everything. That's good. 1920 is a lot larger than 1600, but it is over. And then 5000 by 2074, way too big, right? The other thing to consider is file size. This one's 404 kilobytes. This one here is 2.7 megabytes. Megabytes are bigger than kilobytes. Have you ever been on a web page that takes a minute for the image to load? It kind of paints across the screen. Usually what's happened is somebody has said, I'm going to put high-res photos. It's going to look so awesome. And they uploaded these heavy high-res images to their website, and now the page has to download to get the image on your screen. When you do website work, you're not after high-res images. High-res is for print material, print marketing. For websites, you want lean and mean, right? So actually a low-res usually does better. Did you know that your monitor, your screen, can only produce such a high quality, and it doesn't even compare to the quality of print material. Print material can be printed at such a higher quality than a screen. So really, a lower res is going to do you better anyway. So this 1920 by 796 is probably going to fit the bill. It's 1920 wide. We're looking for 1600, so we're going to lose some somewhere, but it's probably going to come out okay. So let's take a look. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to download it. It is free and anonymous. However, if you go to the high res, which is usually this large file size, if you try to download that, it will require you to log in. You got to create a free account. All these will be free and anonymous. Notice I didn't have to log in and just downloaded the image.
What is the 19 cents that I saw?
19 cents?
Right there.
Right there.
Oh, 123 RF is an advertisement. So I've actually recommended them a time. They're 123 royalty-free images, and they're charging 19 cents each. So it's just a license fee or whatever the case is, or a cost of it. So that's it has
nothing to do with Pixabay.
It's just an ad. It's a competitor. All right, so I've got this image. I downloaded it. Let's go upload it and see what happens. So here's where we left off. I started telling stories and taking us for a little adventure at slide 4. So here's where we left off. I've downloaded that image. If I go ahead and upload it directly, go to my downloads, and there's that documents, downloads. There it is. Now if I upload that, what's going to happen, because it's larger than 1600 by 600, the system is going to auto crop. What auto crop means is it cuts in the middle, right? So it's a little bit too tall, so it's going to cut some off the top and some off the bottom, and it's a little bit too wide, it's going to cut some off the sides too. Let's just see what auto crop does. Welcome to Atlanta. I'll just put that as my caption. Captions are optional, you don't have to put them in, but I'll put mine in. So I'm going to go ahead and save that, and I'm going to recycle the page. It's now stale. Let's see what we get. Going to cycle over. There it is. All right, so there's my image. It's not bad. It's not as awesome as I thought it might be, but it's still kind of cool to see that image. The Welcome to Atlanta didn't come out so much. And you can tell it's a new image because right there you get the Mercedes dome. That's awesome that they captured that. That's a really cool picture for what it is. Now, if I didn't like the way this looked, one thing I could do
is I could use software to crop it myself. This is the sort of thing that Christina used when she created her special banner. If you don't have Photoshop or graphical editing software, consider doing Pixlr.com. It's just total coincidence, these all sound the same. Placester, Pixabay, Pixlr. I didn't do that on purpose, but this is an online editor that allows you to go in and create images. So you can do, there's their high-end Pixlr X or their original Pixlr editor. You can use either one. I like this one, I've used it a lot. Pixlr editor. Now you see right here where it's saying, hi there, you'll need Flash. Actually, we do have Flash installed already. Sometimes this happens in a web browser. And one thing that took me a while to learn, and this is something that might be a good takeaway for you today. Have you ever noticed this? Like, you know you got Flash, but it's telling you need Flash, and you're like, this is not right. What I found out one day is it turns out that this is a little button right here in this region. And if you click on it, right in front of the HTTPS, you get things like this little menu that allows you to go in and turn things like Flash on. And this makes it so easy. Allow. And now that I've done that, notice this new band comes up right here. To apply your settings, hit reload. Okay? Man, I have spent hours going around trying to get Flash to work on somebody's browser before I knew about that little button. That's a huge little tip. It's always right there. It may look like a padlock, or it may look like a question mark or an exclamation point. In this case, now it's a padlock. You can hit that and you get to some settings. If you don't see the one you want, then come on down to settings and go find it. Java, Flash, whatever the case is. Bottom line, when you get to the blue butterfly, you know you've made it. That's the tool. And I can create a new image, or I can open an image from my computer. I can go get that image if I wanted to. And now I've got tools that I could use. This is all free. It's paid for by our buddies over here on this right-hand margin, which is awesome. I can get this crop tool. Let's go do a view and zoom out a minute. There we go. See my whole content. Use this crop tool. And now what I can do is draw this out. And if you watch these numbers right here, and I know it may be hard to see, but right now I'm looking to make my 1600 by 600 square. Right, so I'm watching my numbers as I'm drawing this out. I'm at 13, 1400 on X, 15, coming in the range, there we go, 1600 on my X, and then Y needs to be 600, so I'm going to pull straight down, which is actually hard to do. You'll have to adjust this once you get close to range 600. Pretty darn close, right? So that's almost a perfect fit. Oh, I got 600. All right, we'll call that good enough. So now I've got this that I can float around. Now I know that's the perfect fit for my banner. And so if I want to get more of that city, maybe I want to get that dome in there some. See where I'm choosing. Instead of allowing auto crop to do it, I'm taking over that. And now when I get done, I just hit enter. That's going to change my image. File, save. Are y'all following that? Save that. And I'm just going to write over the image name. Yes, it exists. I don't care. Now I'll go upload it. Whoops. Slideshow. One with the blue check. There it is. That's the one that's in play. Select it, and I can go play around with this thing here. Want to delete it? Upload a new one. Probably didn't have to delete it to upload it again. There's my new crop. Look, I got much more of the land in it. Right? So that's going to probably look a little bit better. There's the old one. Here comes the new one. I actually like that a lot better. There was an improvement that made on it. Yeah? So anyway, you can use Pixlr as a great little photo tool to edit stuff. I'm going to move on here. And what I want to do is usually what I do in classes, we'll do the theme selection and slideshows. But then I want to jump down to site info while we're still fresh and everybody's here. And let's work on site info because there are some compliance things we want to nail down, and then we'll finish up the list and then we'll break at 4 o'clock. So site info, if you click on it, is divided into 3 different categories here: brand, contact details, and office details. And what we're doing is we're getting control over this region up here, this top region here, and this bottom region down here. So we're getting control over it. Let me clean up some of this stuff. I'm starting to collect tabs here. All right. So the first thing I will teach you is that site title and tagline. Those can be kind of tricky to come up with when you're first building your website. And what I tell people is, if you're not sure of a title for your website and if you don't have a tagline, one thing you can do is you can manipulate these. You don't have to put a title or tagline. You can put value statements and call to actions instead, and start maybe beginning to introduce your value proposition and your brand identity. If you have an idea for a site title, like my Georgia Cabins, my web address made a perfect title, right? So I put the web address, www.affordablegeorgiacabins.com, because it says it all. That worked. But maybe you haven't gotten that far yet. Maybe you're not sure what to do. So, you could leave your name, and then they give you a courtesy tagline here. But this is how it looks. It looks, like this up here. It's not very strong. I would say learn that the title gets treated like this. It gets this large, narrow sans serif font, and the tagline is a smaller, bold font, and purpose it for whatever you want. Take that as an opportunity to get people's attention. This is what I'm talking about, like call to action and a value statement. Maybe you can put something like this. Call to action. Call Scott for a free consultation today. And maybe for the tagline, one of the things that Keller Williams has given us in the past is a tagline that's called Because Your Move Matters. That's the classic KW. Everybody has a title, you can use it. Now, if I were to go ahead and save that and look at it on my website, which, by the way, little tip, make sure if you want to see your display name and tagline, this check mark has to be checked. You wouldn't believe how many calls I get. People say, I've entered my title and tagline 30,000 times, and it won't show up. Turns out you got to have this check mark checked for it to show up on your web page. Important tip. Now, if I go recycle the page, it's now stale. Let's see what it looks like. Starting to get some control over that, you see. Call Scott for a free consultation today, because your move matters. And you can manipulate this. Who's to say it has to be in this order? In fact, it'd probably look better if you reciprocated this. Take a look. If I went over here and I wanted to, now watch this. Let's see if I wanted to take this and cut it out. Now I want to put it here. What would happen if I hit paste? I would lose that, right? Mm-hmm. Watch, this is a nice little trick. While you got this one cut, highlight this one, let go, my hands are off the button. Now left click and drag that there, and then paste. Save you a lot of time. You like that? Mm-hmm. I've had people say that was worth coming to class for. Just that kind of thing. But let's say I move that around. Now, this is going to be bigger, this is going to be smaller. And I like to kind of manipulate this one right here, because your move matters. How about this? What if you played around with it? Your next move matters. See, this kind of follows good logic. Your next move matters. So what? So call Scott for a free consultation today. Probably don't need a period. You're free to play around with that sort of stuff. And a lot of times you'll play around with that, and what will happen, oh, I got the bug there. I got to click to here, and it's going to bounce me out. Come back to edit site info. Go look at the page. You play around with it. Sometimes what happens, you'll put something in there today, and then tomorrow you'll wake up with a better idea. You just go keep working on it, So you can play around with that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that at the moment. I just want you to see mechanically how that works and encourage you to put whatever you want there. I like site titles and taglines are good. I really like call to actions and value statements, though. A value statement is what sets you apart from everybody else. It's your chance to make a stand and to try to foster that pinching a nerve of engagement onto your target demographic, So if you want help on that, that's another good example. Get on my calendar. We can talk about that in length with, in the context of your ideas and your identity. So moving on down the list, You can upload a logo, and this is going to be a GREC compliance issue here. We want to make sure that we're using the GREC compliant logo. So you can get this logo at a variety of places, but I like to send people to Rawls Group, helpdesk.com to get the logo. This is where I'm at now. This is a separate website. You may have to open up a tab and navigate to www.rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. But if we go over here to the website and hit downloads, you'll see the option for Market Center logos. First option. And this is a list of all the logos for the Rawls Group. And here's perimeters. So if I click on perimeters, it'll begin. Oh,
Yep.
that was a test. You know when I did the TVs out here, I accidentally put peach trees up there. And it was like 1 in the morning. I was out here trying to put all the stuff back together, and I had Peachtree Road, and I kept walking by those TVs and going, "What is wrong with this? It's not right." And then finally it hit me. I was like, "Oh, I put Peachtree Road's logo on the TVs," and I had to go change it one more time.
Okay.
Gosh,
Question,
that'd be
while
crazy.
you're on that,
Yeah.
what if Atlanta Perimeter, Keller Williams was underneath and Atlanta Perimeter was up? It wouldn't be in compliance?
Greg would not have a problem with it, but now you would not be conforming to the corporate Keller Williams marketing guidelines. So there's an actual article out there that it gives you the marketing guidelines when you're using the KW logo to use it correctly. In extreme cases, you may get called out on it. You know, your broker may come to you, or even international may say, you are not upholding to the marketing standards if you manipulate it too much. So what they've done is these are within spec of the marketing standards. So you know if you use those, they're GREC compliant because the broker's name is present. They're company approved because they're within the specification that Keller Williams calls for. You can manipulate it. There's an entire guide that you can download at mykw.kw.com. You go to the marketing section, you can download the guide, and it gives you the parameters, and you can work with it and customize some stuff, but there are limits that they impose.
The only reason I asked that, I just ordered a name tag, and as I'm looking at that, the Keller Williams is underneath and the Atlanta Perimeter
I got
is
you.
at top.
Yeah, so that's not right. You're not going to get a fine for it, but you're also going to look different than everybody else.
Okay.
Just so you know. Yeah, and I know why I probably did it, because naturally you want the longer one on top, right?
Well, no, I didn't do it. That's the way they had it. They had it with the KW and the Keller Williams at the bottom.
Are they an approved Keller Williams vendor? They usually approved vendors have a banner.
Okay.
Something. That's interesting, because I'm surprised. If they're an approved vendor, that needs to be corrected, in my opinion.
I
So-
would have to order a name tag.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Are you allowed as an agent to have more than one website?
Yes. There's no
How
limit.
many?
No limit.
Go.
You can have as many as you want. A lot of agents have multiple websites dedicated to very narrow
Yeah, commercial,
campaigns.
residential.
Right. Well, maybe commercial, residential, but also like residential, but maybe a whole website on a neighborhood, and then a whole website on another neighborhood, and then a third neighborhood. Because when you think about building your business off of one neighborhood, it's going to be lean times. You know what I mean?
I know.
So unless you like Concord Indian Hills or something on that level, you know. So a lot of times people will maintain multiple campaigns, and the consumers aren't really aware of it.
But
You know.
you work with the same email address or different?
For marketing reasons, I would have a domain for each one of those different websites, and an email associated with each one.
Okay.
Info at, deerrun.com, info at deervalley.com, info at deer, haybed.com, whatever those neighborhoods are called. I don't know why I'm stuck on deer. Info at Dunwoody Country Club homesforsale.com. You're obviously not going to get DunwoodyCountryClub.com because they have it. So, but you would get something similar.
Okay. I hate to, but I just noticed something. Look here.
What is it?
Yeah, that's just a button.
Oh.
That's all it
See,
is.
I was saying,
Yep.
that's just like
That's out of compliance, right?
Okay.
Yeah. It's a good eye. It's good that you saw that. All right, so I have downloaded this file. Look, it came down as a zip file. If you've not worked with a zip file and you're not familiar with zip files, don't let this discourage you. Just watch what I do and know that I'll make sure yours is done by the time you leave today. But all a zip file is a collection of files that are contained within one parent folder that are downloaded. Because behind this link for Perimeter, I've got the logo repeated like 36 times. It's all in different formats. It's like black and white, it's gray, it's color, it's PNG, it's TIFF, it's BMP, it's PNG, it's CMYK. It's all the formats that you might possibly need in a project. Rather than making you download all those, I contained them into a zip folder. And here's how I work with zips. I'll go in Windows, I'll right click on it, just say show in a folder, and there it is. You can see I've downloaded the same file, previous classes. Don't let that confuse you. Here's today's 247_perimeter parentheses 2. Notice it's got a zip logo on the folder. Like that's a natural folder there, or normal folder. But there, this has a zip on it. You can't work with that until you unzip it. In Windows, a right click on the zip file will usually get access to either an extraction menu right there for extract, or you may have third-party software depending on who set your computer up. Sometimes you'll see instead of extract, you might see unzip, PK unzip, WinZip, 7-zip. Those are all programs you can launch. This one here doesn't have any programs. It's just a straight-up extract. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. And that actually put it on my other screen. You can't see it. Let me drag it over. There we go. And it's asking me, where do you want to download this? It's going to be in my downloads folder. Great. And then they're going to create a folder called 247perimeter 2. How about we just call it clap? I can change the name of it, and I'll put today's date on it. I can make that folder become whatever I want it to. So I've done that. I'm going to go ahead and extract it. And now it has created in my downloads folder, it has created, if I go to view, it's easier, view, details, today's date. Look at that, I ordered it by date, it's created this folder. That's what I wrote, QAP 070819. If I open that up, there's the contents of my zip file. And if that's a foreign concept to you, or you're not sure, couldn't follow, again, just watch what I do and just pick up what you can here. Now that I've unzipped it, it's usable. I can now go back to my tool and I can upload a file for my logo. These are previous classes here. Oh, there's July, today's date. I need to clean those up sometime. There's Gary's Kitchen. See, I used it several times. All right, so there's the content. Now, to get the ball rolling, I'm going to jump into the RGB folder, which stands for red, green, blue. It's a fancy way of saying this is the color version of the logo versus black and white or these other options. We go to RGB, and I've got 3 candidate files that I can upload as my logo. By hovering, I can get some details. There it is. The first candidate file, I can see the type is a JPG file, JPEG. That's all I need to know right now. The next one says item type is a PNG file. The next one, it's also a PNG file. Here's the differences. The JPEG, learn this, the JPEG features the content presented on a solid white background. That's what the JPEG is. Versus the PNG, looks the same, it's the content in color presented on a transparent background. PNG is capable of transparent backgrounds, whereas the JPEG is not. And then the difference between this PNG and this one, if you look closely, the difference is found in the text. This features a red KW with gray and black lettering versus a red KW with white lettering. It's very difficult from your chair to see, but in the preview you can tell that's white lettering for KW. So here's how they look. Look, if I try the first one, a JPEG, if I go upload it, and if I want to see it, I got to make sure this is checked. I see now the system is automatically checking this. That must be an update they've done. In the past, you used to always have to manually hit those, but look, display logo is checked. This is the JPEG, which is a colored content presented on a solid white background. Let's see how it looks. Recycle the page so we can see our updated content. There it is. What do y'all think about that? Yeah, boo, yes, right? It's no good. Now, of course, if I was on a white background, that would be fine. It would blend in, right? No problem. Y'all don't need to see that. You can follow what I'm saying. If this was white, that would fit. But it's not. It's a dark background. So JPEG isn't going to cut it. Let's go upload a different candidate. So that one, no good. Let's hit this one, the PNG. The first PNG featuring a transparent background and black lettering. Let's go look at it. There we go, recycle. It's getting there. That's a lot better. It's tight. But can you read that? Not really. Lost in the background. So if we're going to keep this gray, we're going to have to go in. Let's try this last one. Red KW with white lettering on a transparent background. Nancy, where are you going?
I gotta go.
Oh, sorry, CEO.
Nice segue. I've got closing.
Awesome. I'd rather you be at a closing than watching logos go up on a screen here. Recycle the page. I'll catch up with you though, I'm sure.
As far as logos,
Yeah.
will you send me those?
Yeah. Sure.
Perfect. Thank
All
you.
right. So there's the result. Look how much better that
Yeah,
looks.
that looks nice.
Way better. Now, what if I had let's say I went in and had a red themed Madison. You're welcome. Thanks, Nancy. See ya. All right, now let's go look at my site. What's going to happen when I recycle the page and call it red? If I remembered the band, there we go. Look, I lost my
The
KW.
KW goes down.
So I can solve that by coming back into, it keeps bugging here, edit site, keeps bouncing me out. All right, go back down to site info, upload the logo, and I'm going to come out of the RGB folder. I'm going to go up a level and go into the black and white folder. Now I'll make quick analysis here. The first one is a JPEG with gray on gray. This is PNGs with graduating less and less color. So black on gray, white KW with gray lettering, and then this is a solid white. These are all PNGs. So these three are transparent backgrounds. That's a solid white background. We already know that's a no-go. This is going to look great on a solid dark color, especially red, because every part of it is going to be in white with a transparent background. You see that KW and then the rest.
Which one was that again?
It's under
The
black and white
black
folder.
and white? Okay.
Yeah, so if you come out of the RGB, then you're going to go into black and white and choose the fourth candidate file. And then that should look pretty sharp on a red background if I go save it and recycle the page. And I love that, right? Looks real good. The reason I like to show you this at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com is because for some reason, the JPEG, the one with the solid white background, is like the one that everybody shares. Someone says, hey, Dolores, you got a copy of the logo? Yeah, Scott, I got it. And they send that, and I see that on people's business cards, on their bumper stickers, whatever, you know. And I'm thinking, oh, if only they would have known that the transparent PNG exists. It's so much better. And so what I did was I showed people this in every class, but also, look at this link right here, perimeter. If you copied that link, you can email that to somebody. If you're working with a vendor who's doing some marketing for you and they say, hey, do you have an office logo? And you say, yeah, let me send you the link. Let the designer download the link and they'll go through the different formats and figure out what works best for your project. So I think that's a great resource to have access to right there, rather than just passing around the JPEG. So that's my bit on the logos. And this is, like I said, GREC compliant. Speaking of compliance, we were just talking about GREC compliance and all that goes with it. So we've got our logo up there.
Hi.
Let's talk about a favicon real quick.
Oh, favicon!
A favicon are these little icons up here. See these tabs that have little icons? These are favicons. There's KW's site with their red and white KW. It's kind of hard to read. Here's mine, Affordable Georgia Cabbage, white square in the background with red KW. There's Rawls Group Help Desk. It's even more difficult. It's probably from your seat, it's even more difficult. Placer's got their favicon there. I like this one here, this white with the red. It shows up, I think, better than this one, and you can get your hands on that by going to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com, and on my page, hit search, and search the phrase favicon. Just type it in, F-A-V-I-C-O-N, and hit the first result, which is KW favicon. And you can see a preview of what it looks like in the Safari browser there. And this is the actual logo that I've got working on my webpage right there. You can download it. Now to download this, right click on it and choose Save Image As. And then we'll just save it. I just saved it on top of that one there for now. For some reason, remember how we had the logos were zipped? For some reason, it must have been late at night, I was programming this page, I zipped one image into a zip file. So if you download it normally, it'll download as a zip and you gotta go through all the unzipping. So it's a lot easier just to right click on that and to just say save image as. And every class I keep saying, I'm gonna go back and fix that, but it just doesn't get done. All right, so now that I've got my favicon downloaded, I can go here and I can upload favicon. I'm gonna go find that in my downloads folder. You know, it's interesting, I was in a class, an SEO class at Family Reunion, and up until the point of that class, I always thought favicons were sort of vanity, kind of like a license plate, you know, like, do you really need it? Is that important? And one of the things that they told me, or they told us in class, was that when Google's searching your page and crawling your page and analyzing how complete it is, whether you have a favicon or not is a factor of completion.
Wow.
So it actually helps your website scoring. I mean, it's not going to make or break your position, but every little bit does help.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that doesn't have a favicon would score less than somebody who does, because the more complete the website is, the higher Google's going to have an impression of it. So I was like, well, there's reason enough to go through the trouble, not to mention the fact it does kind of finish off your tab at the top. It looks good. Because without it, if you don't have a favicon, you end up with Placester's favicon next to your website. That's my website right there with Placester's, see, Placester's icon. So I'm going to upload this and have KW in there. I'm not going to see it yet until we do these contact details. So let's work through this together. For contact details, fill out your name, skip your title, put your email and your phone number in. Put your name, email, and phone number that you want people to use to call you. That, you know, put your name you want people to use when they speak to you, just the way you'd like to be communicated with. I'm going to put my KW email. You can put whatever email you want. And put your phone number. For me, my cell phone number is the best number. If that's your case, put your cell phone number. When you get that far, leave site header unchecked. And if you have a headshot, now's your opportunity to upload your headshot, which I've got a headshot right there. I'll show you a trick. If you don't have a headshot ready, but you got your profile headshot, check this out. You can go to my KW. If you have your headshot here, watch this. I can right click on that, save image as, and I'll just save it right there on top of that one. Yeah, right over it. And now I've just borrowed my profile shot to go ahead and get that into my Placer site for now until you get a different image. There it is. That's a nice little trick. If you don't have your headshot somewhere handy, go get it off of your profile. Once you've gotten this far, leave the title blank, site header, leave that unchecked. Come on down to office details, and we're going to need to put in the correct information for office name. Put it exactly, well, you get a choice, but it's going to be like this: Keller Williams, and then you can add Realty, or you can leave it out, but you got to have Keller Williams and you got to have Atlanta Perimeter. I usually leave the Realty out simply because our logo that we're putting in has Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter, and I usually match to whatever the logo says. I like that image. We found that image today. It's,
Oh, sorry, which one?
this one here. Isn't that
Ooh,
cool?
baby. Oh, I may have to add that one.
That's a cool image. We
Yeah.
found that on Pixabay today. Free image. All right, so Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter. Office website, leave blank. Office phone number, you got to put the main number in. Who knows what it is?
678.
Oh,
298,
298.
1600.
1600. All right, got to get the broker's name and number in there. Office email, leave it blank. Office address, 115 Perimeter.
Perimeter.
He was teasing.
Yeah, I always think of it Perimeter so I can remember how to spell it. Perimeter,
Place.
P-E-R-I-M-E-T-E-R, place, right? Suite 100,
Yes.
Atlanta, GA, who knows the zip?
30346.
30346. Okay. Get your broker information in exactly the way I've done it and don't go further than that. Leave site header open, leave display office address, office name, leave those two unchecked. Get this far and I'm going to show you what's going on with compliance here. So get your name in there, the way I've done it. Get your broker information exactly like I've done it, with the exception of your choice if you add a realtor between these words.
Office email.
Leave it blank. Office email, leave blank.
Dolores, I didn't realize that was you until I heard your voice. Good to see you.
Everything else on this page, watch what I do. I'm going to go ahead and save mine. Don't save yours yet because you're going to make some corrections when you see this example. I'm going to save mine where it is and then go take a peek at my page. All right, I'm going to recycle the page. We should pick up the new details. All right, got my image up here, got my name, my phone number, got my logos in there. Things are coming together. That's awesome. So here's what the problem is. The problem is when it comes to what they call broker prominence. The rule is if you're advertising listings, your name can't be more prominent than the broker's. And so what we found out is, of course, are we advertising listings? And yep, there we are, right? So broker prominence kicks in. And if you count the number of times that you see Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter, let's do that together. One time, the logo counts as one. And I know I'm moving quickly. I've done this plenty of times to know exactly where they are. I can slow down if you want me to, but I can tell you that that was one and then two. Now, how many times does my name show up? All right. Does this count? Call Scott for a free... No, that doesn't count. That's just a sentence, right? It's not displaying my name. But this counts. There's my name right there. One time. Here it is displayed again 2 times. There it is 3 times. So my name 3 times versus the broker's name 2 times. Is it a big deal? We learned it is because we've had agents set up exactly like I've got mine now, and they were fined $500 from Greg when somebody called in because of broker compliance, which blew my mind. I couldn't believe, because it just seems like, what? Are you serious? But yes, serious enough that they got fined, and we got multiple cases of it happening. So we started talking about it and said, what can we do to resolve that issue? And here's part of the solution. When we write our name, you could come in here. What if you were to add with Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter? Well, now every place the template drops my name is also going to have the broker's name plus the broker's designated places. So I'm always going to have the broker's name more frequently than mine by doing this, right? And so that checks the compliance box, but it really makes your site ugly because it becomes a long string of text that now just looks out of place and gets wrapped really funny. So here's my favorite tip of the day. What we learned is these fields will accept basic HTML language. You can take the word with and change it to a greater than sign with BR and then a less than sign. I'll zoom in on this so you can see it better. If you write your name like I've got it, what that means in the world of HTML is Scott Hardy and then BR means break return. It tells the system, this is HTML code that says everything after the original string gets a break return. It's like a typewriter, hit return, and it's going to put it on the next line. It's going to tuck it. So what it's going to do, it's going to take the Keller Williams Atlanta Perimeter and it's going to tuck it underneath my name every place it stamps it, which makes it a lot prettier. And the cool thing about HTML is the websites, the browser knows, don't display HTML code. So you can write code and the user doesn't see it. The visitor doesn't see it. So it's a really cool little trick that solves a nasty little problem. Watch the results. If I come down here and go ahead and save it, and then refresh the page, look how my name shows up now. Scott Hardy, instead of a long string of text, Scott Hardy, break return, Keller Williams, Atlanta Perimeter, which is cool, right? So now I've got broker once, Scott once, broker twice, Scott twice, broker 3 times, Scott, was that 1, 2, 3 times, and then broker 4 times, broker 5 times. By the way, this doesn't count because it doesn't say Atlanta Perimeter. So sometimes people point that out. Does that not help? Nope, that doesn't count. But now we got the right ratio, right? The broker's name is showing up more than mine, and And now we're compliant. We're not. You can go spend your money somewhere else, hopefully, rather than a fine. So, did everybody get that? That makes sense?
Sure.
Terrific. We're closing in on 4 o'clock here. There's a little bit more to show you. Let's go back into our, dismiss this, go back into our control panel. You and I were just working down here at Site Info. What I want to do is let's go ahead and tackle certifications real quick. It's real easy. Come up here to certifications. And this is a gallery of certifications that you can choose from. You can activate the gallery by clicking this checkbox, show certification, and now browse through and find whatever certifications you may possess. I'll admit it's a brief catalog of certifications, but everybody would agree that you can get National Association of Realtors and Equal Housing Opportunities, so you might as well get those 2 affixed to your page, and then look at the rest. If any of these you own, go ahead and tap on them and select them. You can do a maximum of 6. For about 2 years, I used to say, don't forget to get your Atlanta Board of Realtors right here, until somebody pointed out. 2 years later, somebody said, you know, that's not Atlanta Board of Realtors, that's Accredited Buyers Resource. I felt so bad.
Representative, yes.
See, I still don't even know what it is. Oh, I felt bad. So if you got the certification, grab it. If you have a certification not represented here, unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it. You can't upload it. Click on the ones that you've got, hit save, and then you're done with certifications. With social networks, this is where we activate our social media badges. Click on it and you get this tool that shows some familiar social media channels: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatnot. The way this works is they want you to supply an answer in this field that designates the profile that you want to come up with. Somebody clicks on the button. You can put any profile you want in here. So for me, my Facebook profile is just not business ready. It's camping and dirt bikes and gardening. It's just not real estate or technology. So I didn't feel good about putting my Facebook page up there. It's not business ready. So what I did was I put Keller Williams up there because it's a completely safe environment for customers. Regardless of whether you put KWs like I'm about to, or you put your own, the principle that I'm going to show you is the same in terms of figuring out the answer. So watch, this is what I did for me, because my Twitter, Facebook, all that social media, it's just not ready for business. So I went to KW.com to show you what I did here. And this is not my KW.KW.com, this is KW.com, the consumer-facing experience for the company. And if you scroll down the bottom, there's their social media buttons. And what I did was I clicked on their Facebook page, and I looked at the address of their profile. First off, I looked at the profile and determined this is totally okay for my customers to see it. It's not lead capture, it's not inventory, it's not sales. It focuses on the culture of the company. So I felt good about that and said, that's good for me, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I looked at this address, facebook.com/ and then Keller Williams Realty. Look at the tool. Facebook.com/ and then what? That's what they want you to fill in, the what after .com/. So I went back and said, okay, I got an answer. I found the .com/, stopped there, and picked up right where it left off, Keller Williams Realty. So now if I put that in here, it's going to tie it to my website's Facebook button. Is going to go to the KW Facebook page. Now if you do the same thing for yourself, go visit your Facebook page and study the address, you'll see after Facebook.com, you'll have an answer that you can grab. And the same works for Twitter. If I click on their Twitter banner, twitter.com/KWRI. If I put in S. Hardy, there's mine. Any reason to show off the dirt bike, right? There you go. Not ready for that to be business ready. So back to KWRI. You can see how you can manipulate that by changing the value after that trailing slash. So now I know that's Keller Williams. Same principle. There's stuff on their Twitter, all focused on the culture of the company. It's all good stuff. It's not lead capture or sales. Whoops. Get back over here. So I feel good about putting that in. LinkedIn, the next one. I did the same thing. I went into LinkedIn. Find it. Clicked on their LinkedIn rather. This time it's .com/ and then look at the string of text now. It's company / Keller Williams Realty Inc. It's totally fine to have two, slash involved in the answer right there. That's okay. They just want everything after .com/. That's your landmark. Everything after the com/ So I grab that whole thing. Yours should be the same. Now, one exception to LinkedIn, depending on how old your account is, some accounts you follow the formula and you copy it and it won't work. If that happens to you, let me know. There's a conversion you can do for your LinkedIn profile address. It's called what do they call it? Personalized URL. There's a tool when you log into LinkedIn, so you can personalize the URL and shorten it so that it will work with things like Keller Williams' page. So just let me know if you try and it doesn't work. YouTube, I'll grab that one too real quick. I grab that off their page, YouTube. And it's going to be, this one here is user Keller Williams with a slash between the two. No big deal. This is not difficult, but if you run into trouble, let me know. I'll help you get yours sorted out. I'm going to call that a day. I'm going to save that. Go look at my page. When I recycle my page, I should now have new little buttons that appear. Boom, boom, boom. There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now if I click on them, it's going to take me to those profiles that I designated. Close some of this up. It's getting cluttered up there. All right, so social media channels, you can light those up. If you run into problems with that, let me know. I'll help you out. I noticed one thing on the slideshow. We started talking about the slideshow, and I forgot to show you how to stop this slide. I noticed it sliding. If you will, just revert your thinking back to that slideshow real quick. I'll show you how I did that. Real simple. Remember slideshow here? And I went in, and one way you can do it is go into your slideshow. And if you decide you didn't like the slide, like I didn't like the slide, you could literally delete all these other images, leaving the one you like. Now I've turned my 5-slide slideshow into a 1-slide slideshow. Heck, I can even change the name of it. Call it
Hotlanta.
Atlanta. Yeah, Skyline. Save that. Now that becomes a custom slideshow. Look at that. Atlanta Skyline. There it is, featuring 1 slide. So now when I go visit my site, if I recycle it, it'll just be that image that I had and just stays static if that's what you want. I meant to show that earlier. Wait a minute, it's still reloading the page. Reload. Waiting. Come on now. Wow. It's not happy for some reason. Let's close that out. We'll open it here. Should now just lock it in. Stacey, will you go out there and wind up the internet in the closet for us real quick and see what's going on? What is the deal there? I think Placester may be not happy. Let's see.
You made too many changes.
I got one more thing to show you and we're going to break. I know it's right at 4 o'clock. I got about, I can do it inside 10 minutes if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Sure.
Another 10 minutes? Yeah, internet's good. It must be Placester's. Unless Placester's about to pull the rug out from underneath us. Sometimes they do updates and that's it. You got to wait till they're done. Like right now, what's going on with that? Let's see if Affordable Georgia Cabins comes up. That one did. Okay, let's see if Scott Hardy's new site comes up. Boy, he's not happy for some reason. Double check, make sure I didn't do something silly here. Slideshow, select, save. All right. Oh, now it came up. Wow, there it is. All right. Last thing I want to show you is how to get control of these menu buttons, and then we'll break. So we're going to work. We just finished up, well, technically slideshows, but we were doing certification, social networks. And we jump over search form, which we don't really need to do anything with. Menu allows you to get control over your menu. Now, if I open this up, this is a map of my menu. And if we look, this is the menu I'm talking about. Yours is probably going to look different than mine. That's okay, because we're about to change this whole thing up and you're going to learn how it works. You can change yours up too. So notice my menu is about, properties, areas, blog, testimonials, and contact. And if I look at my menu map here, or my menu settings, there it is, about, properties, areas, blog, testimonials, and contact. So now we get control and influence over our menu. If I click on about, it takes me to a pre-built page that's my profile. Ooh, it's crawling. There it goes. This is already built in for us. You can change this information. I'll show you in just a minute where you can change it. I go to properties. It should show me a property search. There it does. All right, the first thing I would tell you about the menu is you can relabel these buttons. So for example, about and properties, maybe I go in here for my about. If I click on it, it has a label that I can change. The label is just what people see on the face of the button before they click on it. So instead of making it about, I could maybe edit that and make it more personal by maybe calling the button About Scott. And for properties, I can open that up and I can influence the label, I can change it. Maybe instead of properties, what if I said, find your next home today, or now. That's kind of a long string of text, but it's a powerful call to action behind a very useful button. Still a properties button, but I've relabeled it. Take a look. If I go here, recycle it, recycle the page. I hate that it's crawling like that. I know we're right here at the end waiting on a page. It's like watching a pot boil. There we go. So now, About Scott is the button, but it still knows to go to my profile page. And find your next home today. Isn't that more engaging? Click on that, it's going to go to the property search, which is cool. You can send them anywhere, but I think that's pretty cool. So you can relabel buttons. You can also reorganize buttons. Maybe I want the About. A lot of times people put the About over here at the end of the, or somewhere further in the menu. Watch, if I come down here to menu, notice my mouse arrow is an arrow at the moment, but when I hover over an object, it changes to a directional symbol. It means that I can left click and hold anything and I can drag it around. For example, the About page, which now shows as About Scott because of the label being updated, I can left click and I'm still holding the left click, continuing to hold the left click, and I can drag it and release it where these dotted lines are. So if I were to bring it on down to, let's say I put it here, between testimonials and contact, it's going to reorganize my buttons. And now my button will be About, will be between these two when I refresh the page, which is going to be cool. There it is, About Scott, so I can reorganize them. I can delete buttons, but if buttons I don't want, maybe I don't want blog and testimonials here on my menu. I can easily go over here to my menu, and I can take blog off, and testimonials. Now remember this, understand this. I'm not deleting blog posts and I'm not deleting testimonies from my website. I'm simply taking the link off my menu. But that content remains on my website. People can still navigate and find it, or I can still add it back to my toolbar if I wanted to. I can save that and clean up my toolbar some. Finally, I can also, there we go, I can add content. I remember we talked about adding content for a link to download your mobile app. So if I wanted to add a button that when you click on it, you download your mobile property search app, I come back to the menu, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this add tool. Before you click on add, you got to come down here and choose what kind of object you're adding. I'm going to click on it, and it shows all the different eligible types of buttons that I can add. I can put my blog back in there, my testimonial link back in there, the ones I deleted if I wanted to. In this case, though, we're adding something external, and what we need is a custom URL. So while my list may look different than yours, one thing we have in common, we all should have custom URL as the last option. So find that. Custom URL, load that up in this square. Once you've got it like I've got it loaded up, you can now hit add. We're ready to add a link, and we're going to make it link to our mobile app. All right, so you already know what a label is, right? Whatever the label is going to be the face of the button. So if we're adding a button that when you click on it, downloads the mobile app, it needs to say something like that. For example, free mobile app or free mobile download. or mobile download. Your choice, what you want to make it. You can always go back and relabel it too. I'm going to put free mobile download. Be happy with that. So now we have a label on our button, but now we got to put some action behind it. When they click on it, what's it going to do? And that's what the URL is all about. The URL tells the system what's behind pushing the button. Now in this example, it's kind of interesting. The mobile property search app, you haven't seen it already. Once you have it on your phone, you search properties. It's an IVX product. We talked about IVX earlier. Recall that it takes the listing agent contact out and keeps your information, even though it's not your listing. That's how the app works. So for technology to know which agent to associate with the app, how does it know to give my information or to give your information when the consumer downloads it? What they've done is they've issued out a serial number to every associate. Every one of us has our own serial number, and that serial number gets incorporated in your download link. So once you know your serial number, now you have a link that you build so that the system knows, oh, that's Scott's download versus Stacy's download. So the trick here is you got to figure out what your custom URL is, and I have a very easy tool that'll help you do that at rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com. If you go to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com and go over here to downloads, click where it says mobile agent code, that third option, and when you click on it, it should, through the magic of HTML, figure out your link. It just figured mine out. Here's my mobile URL. Here's my mobile text code. Here's my serial number. They call it an agent code, but it's really a serial number. My serial number is KWV40MN1. Everybody's link, everybody's URL looks the same at first. It starts out http://app.kw.com, and then it has a slash, and then your serial number gets put in. So that's the answer we're looking for. You can just copy that whole string of text right there. Copy that. And if you want to test it, just to make certain that it accurately found you, you can take that into a new browser window and go visit the link. And I should see my image in the middle, which I do, my name. So I know that's an easy way to confirm that the tool worked. So I do have the right link. Now this is a mobile responsive page in itself. We've talked about that. And what's happening is the mobile app only works on a mobile device. You can't install a mobile app on a computer. So if you visit the link on a computer, you get this page. See what it does? It wants you to send a text to a phone because a phone is eligible to download the app. A computer won't. But had I used this link on a cell phone, had I visited that link using a tablet or a cell phone, I would have had a completely different experience. Instead of this page, the download experience would have begun, and it would have began downloading the app immediately. And it would have been serialized to me because I used my serial number in the link. So you got to figure out your link. Once you have it, paste it as the answer to complete this field. If you're having trouble with that, don't be discouraged. I'll help you at the end here. We're about to break. Tooltips are optional. You can put them in or you can leave them out. I usually leave them out, but in this case, I'm going to put it in as an example. Tooltip is when your mouse hovers over the button before you click and it hovers, you get information about what's about to happen. So I'm going to put a tip. Be sure to visit this link using your smartphone. Right? It's being a helpful tooltip. I'm going to save that. Let me go take a peek. Recycle the page here. Actually, this page is quite still. There we go. Here's my new button, free mobile download. And when I click on it, well, before I click on it, there's my tooltip. Just hover over it. Now, when I click on it, sure enough, it takes me to my download page. Now, had I visited this website using a mobile phone, they would begin downloading the link. All right, one more example here, and we're done. We're going to add one more button right here. Then when you click on it, it gives you this month in real estate video that I showed you earlier. So we're going to go to the tool, go to menu. We're going to come back down. We're going to use the add tool, but first we've got to qualify what it is. It's a custom URL. Click add. And we got to fill out our form. So the label, if this is a button you push and you get the video, this month in real estate video, then you want to come up with something on the label. That could be potentially fairly long. So it's been interesting to hear what other people have come up with. And the best one I like is simply video update. I love that button name somebody suggested. It's short, it's sweet, It uses the word video. People and Google like the word video. It uses the word update. People and Google like the word update. And it's a little mysterious. Video update of what? Kind of builds some curiosity. So rather than writing this month in real estate video update, just kind of long, I like something like that. It's up to you what you put in there. I'll let you decide. For our URL, instead of a serialized URL like we did in the last example, we're going to use a common URL. Everybody's got the same URL. And here's how you can get it. Go to rawlsgrouphelpdesk.com again. This time hit the search window. And I'm going to give you a code to search so you can get the link for this month in real estate. Here's the code. You type TMIRE. Stands for this month in real estate. TMIRE. Hit search, hit enter, and you get a link for it. This is just a knowledge-based article I started that never really got published. But one feature I like is this big fat link that I've deadened so you can actually click on it. It makes it easier. You ever try to copy a link and you wind up just visiting the link every time you click on it to copy it? Well, this one you can click on it all day long and it won't go anywhere. So it makes it easy to copy. And I made it nice and big so you can see it. So just copy this. Everybody uses the same link. Provide that as a URL.
Do you have to change it every month?
Nope, it changes automatically.
Good.
For a tech tip, you can leave a tool tip, you can leave it blank, or if I wanted to follow up, I could say, visit each month for an updated video, or something like that. All right, I'm going to save that. And I'm going to recycle the page. We should get our new button right here. And I'm going to click on it, and we should be getting this month in real estate. Of course, I got my volume muted off here, but it should come up. There it is. And that does update each month automatically. All right, folks, I have showed you now everything that I intended to show you. I know it's 15 after. I hated to go over a little bit, but I appreciate you letting me show you everything I wanted to show you. We skipped nothing, which is nice. And so I appreciate your time and attention. I hope your website has grown some. I hope your understanding has grown. At this point, I'll do open workshop where if you got questions, raise your hand. I come decide if you want to take a break. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, I want to ask you one thing because I filled in some of this, but not all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I want to go home and think about some things before I post. So, what would I do? I mean, just leave it as it is now. What
so you
puts it out there?
So you could leave it as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's live right now based on the fact that we launched it. If you wanted to conceal it until you got it just right, what you can do is you can come up here. We've been working in this area today. You can come up to the very top where it says sites, very, very top of this page, and click on it.
Wait a minute. Okay.
All the way to the very top.
Oh, here.
Yep.
Okay.
And then you should see at the right-hand side where you can disable your site. So here's the one I was working on today.
Oh, okay.
Disable it, and as soon as you do that, then it becomes unviewable on the web.
Okay.
And then when you go, but you can still edit it, see?
Okay.
And then when you're done, when you're ready for it to go live, you go back to launch site, and then it goes live again.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
To create a new one, it will be the same process? Like you
To create a new page? Yeah, you could, to create a new page, you go up to sites at the top, like I was, just at sites. Let's see what happened here. Sites. And then you get this plus sign. You can add a new site if you want to add a new site.
Okay,
what will happen is you can probably do 2 sites with IDX. Actually, I take that back because right now I'm trying to launch it and it's probably complaining. View live site. Whoops. Sorry, let's see what it's doing. Oh no, it did. It took it. I think you can probably get away with maybe 2. But then at some point, like by the time you launch a 3rd, they start charging you. And it's, I think, $5 a month per extra site is what I think it is, which is really cheap.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, you can go through and say, add a new site. Let's see what happens when I hit the plus sign.
But where do I go to the sites? Through the roles?
Oh, no, you go through your control panel.
Okay.
So
here my
you go to Placester.
Okay.
Sites.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. Here in language, the only option is French.
That's the only other coding they've got.
Yeah, but you know how many people speak French in the United States?
How many?
1 million.
Really?
You know how many speak Spanish?
How many?
41 million.
And?
Well, Zero doesn't have Spanish.
Yeah. Huh?
We should come up with a Spanish.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean?
I think they're planning on doing more languages, but yeah, I was surprised. I knew you were going with when you said the French. I thought for sure it was going to be Spanish. But it was French. And I think
Okay.
if I'm going to read between the lines there,
Mhm.
I think that has a lot to do with our Canada
Yeah.
presence,
Right.
because that's a strong representation of our international footprint.
You know that the United States is the largest, the third largest country that speaks Spanish.
No.
First Brazil,
Uh-huh.
Mexico, United States.
Is that right? Wow.
Brazil?
Yeah.
Brazil is
I thought that was
Portuguese.
More than
Portuguese.
Argentina, more than any country.
But
Oh,
Brazil's not Portuguese?
Yeah, that's
They
right.
are.
So it would be the second.
Okay, so we're the second.
Yeah.
My gosh. I've wanted to learn Spanish before.
me too.
I thought that would be a
Well, I
great
know a
language.
few words I
I
can
would think
understand a
Mexico
little
would
bit.
be one of them.
Yeah.
Let's see, what was I gonna
Last
ask
question.
you?
Oh, let me get this lady right
Sorry.
here. Hey there.
Can I rearrange the slideshow? Because I wanted to do, these are my listings, so I mean, it's just 2 listings, but I wanted to do this one and then follow up with more pictures of that listing.
Okay.
But,
So, do I understand that you're wanting to show,
I mean,
wanting to change the order of these?
the order of it, yeah.
Okay. So what you would have to do is delete
I would have to delete it.
slide 2,
Mhm.
and then use the content from the other slide, like 4 or wherever it was, and rebuild slide 2 with the content you want. And then, like, which one is it that you want to go next?
So we wanted to go next to this one, so delete this one.
Yeah, delete that one.
And then
And then you want this one to be next?
this one.
Okay, so you have that image somewhere already?
Yeah.
This image, okay, so go up here and rebuild slide 2 and make it look like slide 3.
Okay, so.
That's the only way to do it.
That's the only way to do it,
Yeah.
but I could just drag it, you know.
No, it doesn't let you move them, so.
Good question, our URL, what is our URL
For what part?
for the website?
Oh, so you have to visit your site to figure out what it is currently. So
Oh,
if I go
just
visit
shut
the
it
site,
down.
view live site, you can read the address.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be something like www. What's your first initial?
Delora, or D.
And your last name?
Voorhees.
So it'd probably be www.dvorhees.kw.com.
Oh,
Is
okay.
usually what it would be.
Okay,
But I do recommend you consider getting a personal domain through like GoDaddy. They're inexpensive. Usually a first and last name.com is a good place to start. Unless somebody's already got it, like scotthardy.com is already taken.
okay.
But your name is unique enough that you might be able to get it. And so, you might start with that. They're cheap. They're $11 to $12, $13 a year to get a domain name.
Oh,
So they're really inexpensive. So you can always start with something, and then as you start building, your marketing ideas and your brand identity, and start getting some ideas for a domain, you can easily purchase additional domains. And most people look for. Well, here's what I see. A lot of times people try to get one domain, like a world-class domain that just captures everything, and then you realize over time you're probably going to have a collection of domains in your career, depending on your marketing. You may have an event coming up, and you get a domain for it. I mean, imagine this. What if you went to a listing appointment, and the listing was located at 123 Main Street, and you went and got 123mainstreet.com, and showed up the listing appointment with that domain already in your possession,
Oh, yeah.
and you put your, during your presentation, you call that up, and you got a mock-up for the website, placeholder showing you the listing or something like that.
All
It
right.
shows initiative, but also it'd be a good example of using a domain that you would just use, within the confines of the first year. Once the house sells, then you take the content down and just let the domain expire, that kind of thing. And then in other cases, you may have a domain that you have for a long time if you start associating with a certain geography, like a neighborhood or a city.
I used to do that when I was a builder.
Yeah,
To create a website for each property.
and I'm sure it got results, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dolores, you're out of here?
Yeah, I've got a long ride.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta get all the way down south.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I need to fix my website because
Yeah. For those of you joining us on Facebook, thanks for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and let go of the stream, and we'll see you next time. We'll go ahead and end that for everybody.